I'm George Lucas. You are Star Wars 20. I try to get David Lynch to direct a Star Wars, but he said no. Let's start the show.
I always admired George.
Please welcome retired filmmaker George Lucas.
Everyone's asleep. Patrick, you're muted.
I'm muted?
You did yourself. I didn't mute you. I have no control over that.
I wasn't muted.
You were. You were talking. Your mouth was moving, and no one heard you, and you're a fool now. No, it wasn't like that. You weren't saying pop, 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 pop. Yeah. Are you ever able? And then
No.
No?
No.
How's
your day going, George? Let's talk about where we're at. We're at
right now
a little over 1,700.
Not bad.
Not bad. I also wanna plug again the pins that were made right here. We have these pins are $30. You get a pin of each of us and a Yippee pin. $20 of that $30 will go to Feeding America this week. And then these $4 Friends set, which are some smaller pins with Butter Boy, Butter Girl, Bumpers United. Sometimes it feels good to be glad. And guess what, George?
What?
All $4 go to charity. So if you guys go to prettyokpins.com, you will see it. And the total is being added to our total as we go along.
Patrick, you want me to play a little joke on Watto?
I would love it if you did, George.
All right. Don't say anything when he comes on the stream, okay?
Don't say anything. Oh,
yeah, let me know when he's about to come into the stream.
He's going to come back?
Yeah, he'll come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. It was his idea to change StreamYards.
That's true. It wasn't our idea. We didn't bring.
I didn't think of that.
I forgot.
I forgot that's even a thing we're supposed to do.
Did you think of it, George?
I didn't think of it. Did you think of it, Patrick? It was his idea.
It was his idea.
Thought of it.
It's his idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just play a little prank on him.
Okay, I would love it. I don't know if he's coming. George, we're gonna have some more guests joining us in a minute.
Are they in the green room? No, they're not in the green room.
They're not in the green room yet, but they will be here. I just spoke to them. They'll be here hopefully a few minutes.
It's great. I hope Watto's here too. I miss him.
I miss him too. I know I don't normally show
hold on. There's someone in the private chat. Let's see what they're saying.
Oh yeah, let's see what they're saying. No, the answer is
Bryson.
no.
It's Bryson.
Yeah, Bryson is saying, are we watching something before Radioland? And you know what, Bryson?
Yeah.
Hang on. Bryson, can you hear me?
Yeah, I turned off my camera because I knew you were going to bring me on.
Bryson, the answer to your question.
Turn your camera on if you knew we were going to bring you on.
Because I didn't want to come on, but I knew he was going to turn on my. I knew he was going to bring me on. So if I turn off my camera, it won't actually bring me on. It'll just bring my voice on.
Well, we're not going to watch anything for another hour, Bryson. Do you have a bumper that's an hour long that you want to play?
The bumper factory is never a thing on the charity shows.
I didn't ask you to make a bumper, Bryson. I said, do you have an hour-long bumper that you want to show?
Bryson, Giacomo20 is asking if you're naked again.
I mean, there are times in my life where I'm naked. This is not one of the times.
Yeah, when you were born.
Yeah, when you were born, Bryson.
Bryson, come on the stream for just a second.
Turn on your camera just for 1 second, Bryson.
Literally 1 second. Just say the word Mississippi.
Someone is giving. Oh, he's gone. Someone is giving a comment that says, "Shy, Bryson."
Being taunted now.
It's like a bye, Bryson.
Bryson, that wasn't a second. We just want 1 second.
We just want 1 second.
Say the word Mississippi and then go off.
Mississippi.
No, you didn't get the full word out, Bryson.
Yeah, I need to hear the full word.
You got some early Bryson before, and you can stitch them together.
Why are you being so cranky today, Bryson?
So cranky? Mississippi is a song on the soundtrack for Twin Peaks Season 3.
That's true, George. That's true. All right, I'm going to take Bryson out.
Thanks, George.
Take him out.
George, do we want to wait for Watto, or do we want to talk to friends who have shown up?
Let's talk to friends, and I'll do my prank on Watto later.
Okay. Yeah. George, we got a good guest.
I'm very excited.
He's a buddy. We love him.
Friend of the show, I bet.
Friend of the show. Please welcome from Twin Peaks and a lot of other things, Mr. Dana Ashbrook.
Hey, George.
Hello, Dana. Great to see you again, Dana.
You seem very you seem tired. You seem tired.
I'm exhausted. Did you know about the year that everyone had?
No, actually, I haven't been following the news lately.
Oh wow!
Wow,
I haven't watched anything.
It's been a time.
Sports has been weird, but everything else, I don't know.
Right, it's hard.
Been out of the loop.
Dana, we're about to play a prank on Watto. Okay, he's our co-host. I'm gonna bring him in, so just go with whatever.
Okay, it's my strength.
What's this prank? What's the prank you're going to pull on me? What's this prank? You're talking about some sort of prank? You can't prank Watto. What kind of prank are you trying to pull on me?
Watto, look at George. Look at George.
I just pranked you, Watto.
I don't think he fell for it, George. Guys.
No, he totally fell for it. Watto, that was
I'm too zen to be pranked. I'm too zen to be pranked. Hello, Dana. How are you doing?
Hey, Watto. I'm good.
Nice to see you. It's been a while since you were on the live show, the stage show.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I think it was like Christmas time. Or no, maybe it wasn't Christmas.
No, I think it was.
Because I know we played that Christmas song, but
Life Day.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it was a holiday special.
But Dana, I do have another guest I want to bring in. Is that okay, guys?
That's very okay.
I would hope.
Okay. As long as you give me the okay, I'll do it. That's all.
Bring them all in. Bring everybody.
All right, here we go.
Bring them all in, Patrick.
Please welcome our other guest, Miss Kimmy Robertson.
Hi, Kimmy.
Hello, Kimmy. Kimmy, those glasses are spectacular.
They're great. They're beautiful.
They're really great.
Kimmy, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on.
Sure.
Have you met George before, Kimmy?
No.
Oh my goodness. Well,
very
Kimmy,
nice.
I've met
George.
Arthur. Technically, Arthur's my brother.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, let's hear it.
Well, I played Dot on The Tick, and I was Arthur's sister.
Yes. She's talking about a friend of the show, Griffin Newman, who's not here right now, but friend of the show.
Right.
The little Jew who calls in sometimes.
Dana, that's my connection. I have no idea who any of these people are.
No.
Cool. I'm Watto. I own the junk shop on Tatooine.
And I'm George Lucas, creator of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I know who you are, George.
Yeah.
I'm Patrick. We've been emailing. And that's
You're
Dana.
caught up. You're caught up. Kimmy, Kimmy and I have known each other since pre-Twin Peaks. Pre-Twin Peaks. Like
Yes.
we met through our friend Brian Peck, the Peckler.
Peck Ranchito.
Wow.
Okay. He was in The Last American Virgin with Kimmy.
Yes.
Back in those days. And then I did a movie with Brian, and then me and Kimmy met through Brian.
Yeah.
And then we shortly thereafter did the pilot of Twin Peaks. It was right around the same time. Very serendipitous.
Right, because we went to the Tiki Key and had drinks, and I said, let's make a toast. And Dana said, okay. My toast is, I think I'd like some steady work for a change. I'd like a series. And I said, oh, me too. No.
Your toast came true.
Dana, I'll just shut up.
So did you guys
fun. We had a drink.
So what was it like when you both got cast? How did you find out that the other person was in it?
Well, we were in the same van together driving, so that's how we noticed each other. Like I looked over.
I was like, oh shit.
There was Dana.
Wow.
Our thing came true.
You made a toast,
oh my
and
God.
you didn't realize it was a wish.
Amazing. And then we didn't talk again. We wouldn't speak on the set. We never spoke. Really didn't get along very well at all.
No.
It was strange. Ooh, hey, whoa.
I took Watto off while he walked away. I don't know where he went.
It makes sense.
Yeah, he doesn't like hearing about other people's success. I think that's what it was.
Oh wow. Nose was falling off.
Yeah, maybe that might have been it.
You may have spotted it. That might have been something to do with it. His nose might have been falling off.
The side effect.
Yeah, we only re-render. He's a fresh re-render, so it could be that the code. There's something wrong with the code, but
yeah.
But that's such a nice experience to be friends.
None of this is true. Watto's very zen. He loves other people's success. His nose is fully rendered. I went to get more tea.
Yes.
Very zen. Kimmy, Dana. I know we've never met before, Kimmy. Dana, we've met before. I've gotten very zen now. I cannot be riled. I'm so happy for the two of
you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Is there a question that you guys get asked, whether it's about Twin Peaks or anything else in your careers, that you are exhausted of answering? No? Okay.
Is it that question? Are you tired of being asked if you're tired of being asked anything?
There's a question that we get asked a lot, and that is, what's it like working for David Lynch?
Sure.
Right. We assume it was great, right? We don't need to ask that.
Right.
Yeah, ask and answer.
Yeah. It was great.
Great time.
Again, I never met him. He always worked he worked just from Video Village with me. He would have people pass me ideas and stuff. I still haven't met him, but I hope to meet him.
I would imagine that people used to ask you. I would imagine that people used to ask you who killed Laura Palmer, and now people ask you, did Laura Palmer, was Laura Palmer killed, and when, and why? I think that the questions become so much more complicated than it used to, because you can't just ask who killed. Now you have to ask, was she killed?
Yeah.
The questions get deeper over time.
Are you eating spaghetti?
Am I eating spaghetti?
Yeah, I heard you like spaghetti.
I do like spaghetti. I do like spaghetti. Do you want me to make? I'll cook myself some spaghetti if you'd like to see that.
Oh, sure.
Okay. All right, I'll do that.
This is the scoop. We've never gotten this.
I'll do that. No one's ever asked that, but I'll do that. Don't leave this camera on. I'll get a second camera going for the spaghetti.
Unit.
Great.
George is about to launch his second unit to make some spaghetti.
What? A few years ago, when you guys knew that the show was coming back, how long did you have to keep that secret?
Forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of as I forget who said it first, but it was a lot of blue balls. Maybe it was Machen that said it. It was just like it went on and on and on. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was on, it was off, it was on.
Yeah.
But
and there was that phone call.
Easter.
Lucy, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to do.
Yeah.
What?
I talked to him on Easter Day. It was Easter Sunday. He called me and he was like, "Yeah, I can't. I'm not gonna." And I was like, "But do you want to do it?" And he was like, "Yeah, I want to do it, but I." And so then Machen, just sort of put all that whole fan thing together so fast. She did because she just is amazing, and she put it all together. And
I mean, it's truly
no Twin Peaks.
It's truly impossible to think about season 3 of that show being made without his involvement.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have been it.
Single syllable, yeah.
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 Yep. Oh, I thought you were I was holding off. Watto, what are you eating?
It's another peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Great.
Oh, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
It's my second one of the day.
I have a question for Dana. Dana, did you ever make David angry on the set so that he had to be disappointed in you, or say, I asked you to act and now you're doing this? Did anything like that ever happen? Because it did with me.
I don't know. If he ever felt disappointment, he kept it to himself, probably. Because he knows I'm fragile, and he didn't want to be like, "What are you doing?" Jesus, he would come in with some ideas that would be 180 degrees different than what I was doing, but he was always really nice about it. No, man, he had to treat me with like a baby. He had to treat me like a little child.
Wow. I didn't
Yeah.
it like that.
It would actually be like this. And if it was a scene between me and Machen, it would be like this. He'd come in and be like, he'd have some quiet time and some low conversation with Machen for about 10 minutes while they're tweaking lights. And then he'd look at me and he'd go, "Okay." And then he'd walk away. And I'd be like, "Okay, all right, great, super." I don't blame him. I didn't blame him. I did not blame him. I mean, it's like I'd rather talk to Machen too, honestly, than myself. So no, that was really, it was always me just trying to figure out, how much to kiss and that kind of thing. We had a rating system. It would be like 10 being the highest. And I would say, what rating is this kiss? And he would give us a little rating. He would, give us a number.
Bobby, this is 6.
Yeah, I don't think he ever went that low, but yeah.
What was the average number? What was the average?
It was always it was always a 10. He was always like, he was always, fun about it.
What was the number when you went to go kiss the trophy case?
Oh God, I don't even know. I don't even know how that. I don't even remember that happening.
You go for it. You go for it. I watched the movie again last night to prepare for this, and I was like, he's going. I
open mouthed it. They had a guy there to wipe it down and clean it up in between takes. Then I want some slimy actor over there just slurping all over things.
Yeah,
I remember that day. That day I played basketball. There was a basketball court there, and a bunch of the crew guys at lunch played basketball. And I had a hat on, and it had a metal thing on the hat. And one of the guys hit me in the head, and it cut my head open. So we had to glue one of my hairs over this like cut on my forehead.
Someone in the chat is asking about Don S. Davis. They want to know if he was as fatherly as he was written.
Yeah, he was more like a colleague, I'd say, someone that I revered, and that, but he wasn't he wasn't like one of those guys that just lays advice on you all the time or anything like that. He's there for it if you want it, but he was, totally. Yeah. He was great. He taught acting too, and I think at UW, or he taught up there up in the Pacific Northwest somewhere acting. Oh, wow. So he was awesome. He was great actor.
Kimmy, what was it? No, go ahead.
The wood carver.
Yeah, great. He did great pointillism too. He gave me these. I have this great pointillism painting that he did of like a seascape. Really beautiful, amazing.
I want to just point out, and it's a point of pride, that this is, I think, the only talk show in which you can tell the host, go make some spaghetti, and he just leaves the show and goes and makes spaghetti for however long that takes. James Corden's not going to do that.
I was going to say, I felt bad that George wasn't here, and then I remembered that it was Kimmy that asked him to go do it, and I was like, I don't feel bad anymore.
Yeah. Who puts the pasta in before you start boiling the water? Is that like a new thing?
I can answer that. George Lucas does that. Yeah. Yes.
I see.
What?
Okay.
He's a weirdo.
I wonder, and you have to wonder with George if he's doing that just for the shot. If he's more cinematic this way, if he's willing to eat a shittier tasting spaghetti in order to make it pop visually.
Kimmy, what was it like working with Joe Johnston on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Well, that was really interesting because I auditioned for like every single part in that movie. I auditioned for at least 10 times. And my final audition, they said, all right, Kimmy, we want you to come in with no makeup on and dress as ugly as possible. And like whatever you have to do to be like a school marm, dressed like that.
Yeah.
So I parted my hair down the middle and I pulled it down like Ruth Buzzy over my ears and a low bun and wore this just hideous outfit. And I got there and they wanted me there at 7:30 in the morning so that I would look ugly, because apparently that was their logic, was people look ugly in the morning.
Sure.
Yeah. So I got there and there was Joe and everybody was there, all the people, and they started laughing and they were like, you look younger without any makeup on. They wanted me to play some other part, and I'm not going to say who it is, but I just didn't look old enough, I guess, to be married. That's what what Joe Johnson kept saying.
It was the Rick Moranis part?
Yes. Rick's part, yeah. That'll make them very happy.
Yeah. Wow. What George left the spaghetti.
Yeah, I left it, but I can see it on my second unit.
Did you take it out of the wrapper?
No, I took it with the wrapper on.
Yeah.
I see.
I can't get over that story, Kimmy. It's very odd if their goal was to make you look older, to not communicate that to you, and to instead give you a lot of other directions. Like, leave the makeup at home. Don't sleep. Wake up early. And then get angry at you that you weren't looking older. Like, you could have consciously done things to make yourself look older, at least attempted, if you knew that's what they wanted.
I brought in my birth certificate. That made me
a lot older. You're in the right. You're in the right here. I don't understand what they were doing.
They were so unclear and so.
Is what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
So then they brought me down to Mexico City and still didn't know what I was going to do. And he said, well, go to the makeup trailer and have them put makeup on. And he came into the makeup trailer and she was putting makeup on and the makeup woman had a dog. and her name was Sushi. And Joe was sitting in the room, and I said, "Look, Joe, it's Sushi. Say good morning, Sushi." That ended up being what I did. You went, "That's it. That's what you're doing."
Dana, I have a question.
Yeah.
Where do you think Kevin Slade is today?
Kevin Slade.
Kevin Slade.
Who's that?
He's your character from Cagney and Lacey.
Oh,
What's he
I
up to?
see.
What's he
Someone's
up to?
on IMDb. Someone's cruising through IMDb over there.
Oh my God! You got to be on Cagney and Lacey?
That was my SAG card.
That's like
I was
the Law and Order of the '80s.
Yeah.
I was already Taft-Hartley when I was like 7 or 8 because I did a commercial, and I Taft-Hartley with my mom when I lived in San Diego, and it was for Ford. And then when I moved to Hollywood, I got an audition for Cagney and Lacey, and I auditioned, and then I got the job, and I was already Taft-Hartley, so they didn't even have to Taft-Hartley me. They just I got to go right into the Screen Actors Guild. And I think it was $600. Huh?
I was asking how much it cost to join SAG back then.
I think it was $600, and it was that place, that green place that used to be like on either Hollywood Boulevard or Sunset.
500 Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah, that green. It was like that green old like 60s or 50s. So cool.
Modern office building, and that's where the credit union was. I was standing in line with a bunch of checks 30 years ago, and Andy was behind me. And he got the checks out of my hand, and he counted them up, and he said, "Holy shit! You have $36,000 here." Thank you, Andy. Thank you. I was gonna let the teller add that up, but now I don't have to.
Yeah.
Shit, I would have said that too if I was in those checks.
Oh yeah. Kimmy, people, our viewers have been demanding, and we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you to share some of your experiences working on the Louis show, the Louis Anderson sitcom, where the main cast was Louis Anderson, you, friend of the show, Laura Innes, Bryan Cranston, and Paul Feig. That's a pretty wild cast of a sitcom to only last 6 episodes.
Yes. I got a really cool hat. Really cool hat.
Well, then it was worth it.
I do. It's up at the cabin though. It's not here.
It lives at the cabin.
Plaid Elmer Fudd hat. So the reason I was on that show, and you're not going to believe me, but it's true, is Louis Anderson told the network that he would not do a sitcom if Kimmy Robertson wasn't on it.
I don't believe you.
It's true.
Wow.
I believe it. I believe it.
You don't need to believe it. It's okay because that was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I appreciate your acceptance.
But that's why I was on that, and I really didn't do much. I think I was a waitress.
But you were on every episode.
Everyone was. There was only 6 of us, and there was only 6 episodes. Each of us talked for 5 minutes. That was the show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at, there's an IMDb review from a guy named Zach Heisel that says a good show that obviously never got a chance. So that's good.
Very nice.
It's very nice.
Very nice.
It's kind of nice, actually. I mean, there's a poetry to the fact that there were 6 main cast members in only 6 episodes. It's like, why do a 7th? You'd have to add another actor, you know?
Right. Exactly. See? That's why
right.
it was canceled. See?
Yeah. If the show had been more successful, it would have gotten very crowded fast.
That is the secret to making a successful TV show is to cast 100 people in it.
Yes, that's what if you want to hit syndication, you have to have 100 regulars. And that's why no one does it.
100 cast members.
Too expensive.
I mean,
but know about that show. I thought they erased that from the annals of time.
People were demanding it.
I've never seen it on IMDb.
Yeah, it's there. But I mean, George, you say 100 cast members. The Return, the Twin Peaks had what was it, 200 and something speaking
Right.
cast?
196 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys block shoot all of your stuff, or was it spread out over a long shooting schedule?
Spread out over a long shooting schedule, but they definitely shot like all the stuff in Twin Peaks, first.
Huh.
And then they went and shot in LA and then New York and Paris and wherever, and Vegas. I don't know where the hell else they went. They went all over.
Right. Yeah. I'm still in Paris, actually.
Hey, George, you're really rocking a sort of Saint Nick thing happening.
Well, it's that time of year, isn't it? Ho ho ho!
I'm saying you could really get some side hustle going, doing some some virtual Santa stuff.
Yeah, maybe
I'm glad you said virtual. I'm glad you said virtual, Dana, because I feel like there's not a great market for being a bearded man sitting in the middle of a mall asking children to sit on his lap. Right?
Well, no, I actually think now I would consider I never would have considered being a mall Santa before, but I would do it now if they had to stay away. You could do it distance where you could just be like, hello, I got your list.
Yeah, you want to be a Santa. You don't want to be a
wear a mask.
Santa. You want to be a private Santa, like a private yoga. You know what I mean? You don't want to work at the yoga studio. You want to go to their houses.
I'll leave while you guys talk about
You want to go to the private parties where, like, everybody's like drunk and just like Santa,
like a black label Santa. Yeah,
come here, let me sit on your lap.
I feel like in a weird way, I'm like a strange Santa Claus who gave a bunch of little boys what they wanted for Christmas in the guise of Star Wars movies. But regular Santa doesn't grow up, and they don't turn into men who are then constantly furious about the toys that they got when they were 10. You know what I mean?
I hate these toys. I resent you for giving them to me in the first place. Why did you break my toys?
Yeah.
Somebody needs hormone replacement therapy, George.
Yeah.
George. Guys, here's a good question. Dana, Kimmy, do you guys have any good Santa stories?
Yeah. What's your best Santa story?
Tell us your Santa story.
Now's the time to share those Santa stories.
I have a good one.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's not actually good. It's just my only one.
Yeah.
And that is,
sounds good to me.
I'm an actor and I did a lot of commercials. I looked forward to July every year when I would go to an audition for a Christmas commercial, and there would be like 100 Santas in the waiting room.
Oh, great. That's a good story.
Perfect story.
Now, Dana.
I would sit on their lap and have them take Polaroids.
Oh, there you go. Now, Dana, you got any Santa stories?
I don't really, but when I was 16, I think my mom and my sister, I lived in San Diego, so my mom and my sister were in the production at like the San Diego big like theater down there of like A Christmas Carol, right? And and so it was my brother-in-law Biff and a couple of his like degenerate friends. We would sell chestnuts. We'd roast chestnuts and then sell them at intermission and before the show and at intermission. And it would sell 4 chestnuts for like $1. But you had to like roast the nuts all day and then you take them right and you sell them. But our goal was to make more money than the actors were making in the show. And we killed it. We killed them every night. We killed them. We just shattered them. And like by the end, it was like a Dickens novel. The guys were just sitting there drinking out of flasks while this young 16-year-old, kid was running around selling nuts in the theater, and they were drunk in the van just waiting for me to come back with like the cash, and I was 16. I was getting wasted every night and like going to school the next day. It was just terrible. And we'd be done by intermission, so I'd be out of there by like 9:30. I was boom, home, drunk, wasted, and ready for the next day. And then we had to roast the nuts though, so it was labor intensive. And as the low man on the totem pole, I was in charge of roasting the nuts.
Now, people are asking an important question in the chat, which is,
where'd you get the chestnuts?
well, that A, that B, did you roast them on an open fire?
No, well, what we would do is we'd roast them in the oven. You have to pierce the chestnut, and you roast them in the oven and get them almost ready. And then to get the, you put on the scarf and the gloves and the whole, bit, and then you have like a barbecue out in front of the theater. Yeah, and you put all the nuts on there. So they think you've been cooking them on there, but really you cooked them already, but you just heat them up, sort of. It's a scam, but rich. I made a lot of money. I made all my Christmas money that year doing it. It was great.
Dana, yeah. Hearing you say those words, I feel like you should play a character named Pierce Chestnut.
Yeah.
That's a great. It feels like that feels like a character that you could play in a holiday film.
Well, it's
in a Hallmark movie. Pierce Chestnut, the fighter.
Pierce Chestnut's Holiday Adventure, coming December 2021 on the Hallmark Channel.
Yeah, like a guy whose like college nickname was like, his name was like Dave Chestnut. His name was Morris Chestnut, say, just for fun. And then he, like, they called him Pierce Chestnut, because that could be the thing.
Hey George, a lot of people are really worried about your pasta. Can you go check on it?
Hold on, I made.
It's not even boiling though.
What is this, George?
Hold on.
Is that an?
Well, I don't have a Santa story, but look, here's a Lucasfilm Christmas card from 1988.
Wow, you keep those, George.
Yeah, I've got them for every year, but that's the only one I'll show you.
Oh, that's good.
Oh wow. Okay.
Kimmy, what was it like being on The Simpsons?
It was fine.
It was fine. Did you record with everyone else, or did you record by yourself?
I don't know where this rumor started that I recorded by myself. I would like to know where that rumor started, actually, because I've been asked that by like 1 million people.
Oh, interesting. It was not a rumor. I was just curious. Because I know
Patrick's just a bad interviewer.
No, seriously, I've been asked that question a lot.
Huh.
And on Twitter, somebody was talking about me, and I went, hello, I'm standing right here. And I did not record all alone like you're telling everybody.
I'll stop.
The whole cast.
You know what? I'll leave. I'll just leave.
Harry Shearer and everybody, and went to lunch with Dan Castanova and yada yada. And we
Homer himself.
We ran into Just Love It. So that's my proof that I worked with the whole cast.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that we finally put this rumor to bed.
I didn't
Samantha Stanky.
Whatever that was, I couldn't understand you.
Oh, I said I'm glad we put the rumor to bed. We never need to talk about it again.
All I hear is static.
Oh no.
Kimmy, you don't have to worry about it. Patrick is fake news. Anything he's saying is rumor mongering.
That's okay. That was I believe that was 31 years ago. So
Hey, can I get a vote from everybody?
Yes.
Do you want me to do it with tomato sauce, or do you want me to do it with just butter?
butter.
Oh.
Okay.
Butter, George. That's how you.
Well,
make it with your
maybe
daughter.
not butter. Maybe some olive oil and some Parmesan and some, like some basil and maybe a little bit of something. You know what I mean? You don't need to just put butter on there.
You just want butter?
Okay, so let's say this. If you want butter, type B in the chat. If you want tomato sauce, type T in the chat. And if you want Dana's special recipe, type D in the
Bear in
chat.
mind, this was Kimmy's request. So
It's olive oil and
I
some
heard,
basil
George,
and Parmesan.
that you like it with butter, olive oil, and Parmesan. That's how you and your daughter like to eat it.
He's a butter boy. George is a butter boy.
Butter boy. Okay, I'm gonna do it with butter and some Parmesan for Dana.
And
Wow.
olive oil. You gotta have olive oil. If you have butter, you gotta have.
You want me to go
both.
full Popeye?
Do you have any basil?
You're the one that George Lucas not me.
George,
Do you have any-
if I try with olive oil, I'm going to go full Popeye.
Do you have any garlic powder or
Anything that starts with G?
George
some
is
oregano?
George is a billionaire. He's got a fully stocked kitchen, so I fully anticipate him having all of this stuff.
Kimmy, I'm curious. While George is busy at work preparing his new pasta dish, where did you first hear of George Lucas's love of pasta? Because this seems to be a thing that the reputation precedes him.
Yes, I saw it on television. Somebody went to his house up there, his ranch, and he had his adopted daughter, who was about 14 at the time, and they were making pasta, just like how Dana said, olive oil, butter, basil, garlic, Parmesan. And I said to the television, George and your daughter, you should stop eating pasta right now.
Wow. And what did the television say?
It said, fuck you, Robertson.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm trying to stay zen, but that is very rude of your television.
It's a lot.
But that's, you know.
Those damn televisions talk back to you these days, you know?
Yeah, they're smart.
Yeah.
Well, a little too smart. They got the smart mouth on them these days.
I hear that.
I don't like it. I used to, you know, do blue comedy like that, but I don't anymore. I'm very zen. There's a lot of power.
Here's some fan art. That's some fan art we got from people that says Zen Watto.
Never going to work blue again.
Yeah.
Watto looks a little girl, like a woman there, a little.
Watto.
Hey, look, I'm getting in touch with my inner woman. I'm finding my inner peace. I'm getting balance.
Let's see it, Watto. Let's see a little bit of the femininity that we've come to know and love from you.
Oh yes. It's the hair. It's the hair garment. I don't know what to call that exactly.
Oh, it's a yarmulke.
Oh, it's a yarmulke and on top of a hair garment. So it's a hair garment with a yarmulke.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You look good.
It's amazing.
I've never felt better.
To me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a high honor. I'm a fan of the tick, but I have no association with that show whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Kimmy, do you like Norman Rockwell?
Who?
Norman Rockwell.
Well, I don't know him. I think he passed away.
Oh my God! Don't tell Patrick. He'll smile all night.
Oh no!
He'll be giggling nonstop.
Look at these little stamps I got.
What is that? What is that, George?
It's a little Christmassy stamp. I had it upside down. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh, look at
Oh, okay.
horse.
Oh, but look, Kimmy. It's dirty.
Oh,
What is that, a monkey? What is it, a monkey or a little boy?
George, is that a monkey riding a rocking horse?
Riding a man riding a rocking horse.
George, use your 75-year-old eyes to look at those things. This is grandmother and grandfather and grandson. Hold on. Grandfather and grandson share delight in this Norman Rockwell painting.
Sorry, I shouldn't have. That says something about me that I saw what I saw.
Yeah, grandfather and grandson sharing delight.
It's sweet. It's nice.
It's
lovely. It's lovely.
And this went to benefit the American Lung Association.
Oh, that's good.
Pretty good.
I saw that from the Marshall Islands.
All right.
72. Yeah, that's it. That's my story.
That's a good story. I'm a big fan of Kimmy's stories. I like these. George, we got a comment. We got a comment here that says, "Hey, I wanted to say hi to all of you. Also, George, thank you for creating my favorite and best film series of all time, Indiana Jones."
Well, you're welcome. Who's this? Vanilla who? Vanilla who?
Vanilla Coke Pepsi. K-O-K.
Vanilla Coke Pepsi. Vanilla K-O-K Pepsi. I think it's Vanilla K-O-K Pepsi.
Yeah, K-O-K Pepsi.
Vanilla K-O-K Pepsi.
Okay, bye, Kimmy.
I feel like that's a very off-brand comment for our chat. I'm almost sort of disturbed, like wondering if there's some trick for someone to just show up in the chat and say, "Hey, George, I like your work."
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a big fan of your work, George, but I feel like there's some earned skepticism here.
Yeah. Well, also, Indiana Jones was famously almost sponsored by Pepsi, and then ultimately it was not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they couldn't squeeze it in, right?
Couldn't squeeze it in.
Couldn't squeeze it.
There's a lot of they had that date company.
Oh, they were bad. They were bad.
Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, that movie was someone told me about that movie before I saw it when I was a kid. I forget what year did that come out?
81.
81.
Okay, so I'm like 14, and I didn't understand it. And I mean, I understood the movie, but he told me he said the movie starts out like a movie ends, and I was like, oh, okay. And it was like the first time I'd ever kind of even been aware of something like that, and it was true. It was so true. It was like that huge sequence in the beginning. It was just like the big action sequence at the end of another movie.
That's right.
I love that movie. So thank you, George. Also, I'd like to with Vanilla Cock Pepsi. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
It's pronounced like Coke. It's their last name.
Vanilla Coke Pepsi. I got you. I just that just came up on my screen. Vanilla Coke Pepsi.
Yeah.
How's your noodles?
These were a great idea, Kimmy. What a wonderful treat.
Let's see them, George. Show us them. No, closer. Closer to the screen, George.
You know what?
That looks nice.
Some cayenne pepper.
Everybody
no
was
pepper.
trying to... What?
Black pepper, nothing?
George, go get some black pepper, George.
Get some black pepper.
And bring it back so we can see you pour it.
Do you know that black pepper is the only true aphrodisiac?
No. The other ones are liars?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Dana, Kimmy, how often do you guys get to see each other?
Not often
Every time
enough.
we go to New Zealand, I see Dana.
So once. No, I live in New York now, so she lives in Pasadena or wherever.
Pasadena.
And then the mountains too. So
Yeah.
So not that much. But we used to see before COVID, we would see each other like probably a few times a year at things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when we had things.
Yeah, when people used to gather in the same rooms and hug each other.
Remember, everybody bought tickets to the Graceland thing, Dana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they get their money back?
No, I'm holding it all in my Venmo. I'm in a Venmo, people.
Okay.
I've got all of it.
Know where it was.
I have it. So at some point, I'm gonna kick it back to them.
I knew you would know where it was.
Oh, here you go, pepper.
Oh, there you
Here's
go.
the pepper.
Okay. Aphrodisiac.
Interesting.
You will need to wait.
This is a little. We made this up at ILM. This is a little droid named Pepar for you.
I'm getting a little worried now because we still have many hours left on this live stream, and now George is going to start getting sexually imaginative with all this pepper in his system.
He loves pepper.
It actually has to go through his urethra for it to work. So let's get
okay.
Okay,
so
what will be happening to me?
I think what you got to do is you got to line up a big line of pepper and then snort it with your penis, if you can.
Hey,
can I say that
hey,
on this TV?
You can say that.
Dana, you can say that. An
You want
older
to snort
walker
the
with
line
a
of pepper with your penis.
George, if Dana wants it, I mean,
Dana wants.
It's going to be a stretch goal, and we can't do it on camera.
Let's leave it up to
Dana,
Vanilla Coke Pepsi.
I wish I could laugh at that joke, Dana. I wish I could laugh at that joke, but I'm too zen now.
You don't laugh at any joke that's not like a sweet
Patrick,
joke.
let's set a stretch goal for that.
Yeah, how high? Because we're at like 1700 around 1800.
Oh,
What do you
really stalled that? Did anyone donate for the kisses?
We got one kiss donation, I believe. Yeah. George, what do you want your number to be? Just snort a bunch of pepper with your penis, George.
69,000 is Watto Butt Chuck's energy drink.
Yeah.
Let's say 6,900.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That is much lower than I thought, George.
What?
6,900. George is going to snort a line of pepper through his pee-pee.
I won't be able to show that on camera.
Yeah,
so
we
just
can't
bear in mind that it'll just be the honor system.
Yeah.
And after that, the proof of it will be that I will become sexually imaginative. Kimmy, how long after I do that?
Well, I imagine 20 minutes.
Okay, so the way you'll know that I didn't just stage something, the way you'll know that I really did Dana's pepper trick, is that 20 minutes after performing that act, I will become sexually imaginative. Because like right now, I can't even imagine it, you know?
Can't even. But he'll be coming up with new positions.
It can be 20 minutes, but sometimes it's like 2 weeks also. So it could really backfire for us as if we're gonna wait for it.
I think we will see it at some point. If it happens, I think we will see it. That's my guess.
2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It could be.
Since you took the shortcut,
I think we'll see it
into your penis rather than swallowing it.
Yeah, it's like mainlining it.
Yeah.
Sort of. I don't know what that is, but it seems like it's getting to the main place.
Mm-hmm.
That was character work. You had to learn about drugs for characters, Dana, right?
Oh yes.
Guys, what's your acting process? Tell us about your acting process.
How do you learn lines? How are you about learning lines? Do you have any tricks?
You look at them.
You look at them, so it's visual. You're a visual learner.
Look at them and then they go in.
Yeah. Okay. That's it, though.
Right, Dana?
I do what I like to call mirror work, where I just sit in the mirror and say the lines over and over and over and over and over and over, staring at my face so I can tell how my face is going to look when I say the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just roll out to the set and do my thing, man. No, I don't have a problem memorizing stuff. I just kind of like, go over it in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the saying, how do you memorize Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice.
Oh boy.
What was a hit show on ABC less than a decade after Twin Peaks was canceled?
Practice.
The Practice.
Powerful show.
Powerful show. I heard that the lead actor on that show,
Dermot McDermott.
Yes.
They always filmed him from such a low angle.
His stepmother's Eve Ensler.
Correct.
I believe this is correct.
That is correct.
The vagina monologue lady.
Right. And then I think she legally adopted him after she divorced his father.
Yeah, and Dermot McDermott was like 42.
Yeah. It just went through the other week. It went through.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait. This is a weird story. Here we go. McDermott's father's third wife was playwright Eve Ensler, author of the Vagina Monologues, who legally adopted McDermott when he was 15 and she was 23. She has since divorced his father, with whom McDermott remained close, encouraging him to pursue an acting career, and began writing roles for him into her plays.
I got some questions I'd like to direct at Dylan McDermott's father.
I got the answers to your questions.
Wait, hang on. We're not done yet. There's a little bit more. After Ensler suffered a miscarriage, he took on the name Dylan, the name planned for her unborn child.
Whoa.
What?
He was born. His name when he was born is Mark Anthony McDermott.
I'm glad you took the time to add in that very fun anecdote. Kimmy, what were you going to say about the answer?
Mark Anthony? I'm stuck on Mark
Anthony.
Like the god, Mark Anthony, or
To me, Mark Anthony will always be the dog from the Warner Brothers cartoon Feed the Kitty.
All right.
That's not the Feed the Kitty I've heard about.
Now,
Dana!
That's a whole other thing.
Dana, I'm trying to stay zen here. Don't get me horned up.
Dana,
I just did a line of pepper with my penis. I'm feeling it.
Dana,
you guys can put that on the internet.
Dana, don't do the pepper pee-pee. Don't do the pee-pee.
Oh shit!
Dana,
This is just Diet Dr. Pepper. I mean, Diet root beer, by the way.
Oh,
Diet A&W.
Do they make diet?
do you think is there a chance that Diet Dr. Pepper is not actually a diet beverage, but that it's they're just saying he's a nutritionist?
He's the diet doctor.
He's a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Like Dr. Pimple Popper?
Yeah.
Why is that not a beverage yet?
I've seen that show. It's been a beverage to some of those assistants. They stand too close, and it gets up in their grill.
Ew.
Yeah, it's a gross thing.
What are your guys' favorite sodas? What are your favorite sodas?
I don't
My
drink
favorite-
soda. It's toxic and it's poison.
Good answer.
Yeah,
That's
Kimmy's super healthy. I quit drinking Diet Coke when Donald Trump got into office because he drinks like 17 of them a day.
Mhm.
But
Diet Coke does to you.
as of the last year, I started drinking Diet Coke again.
Do you know what Diet Coke does to you? Your red blood cells? It takes
Here
a
we go.
red blood cell and turns it into a bone marrow cell, and it never changes back. So one molecule of Diet Coke changes a red blood cell into a bone cell, and then if you keep drinking Diet Coke, you'll be a walking bone.
God.
And that's the key.
Dana, do you want to be a walking boner, Dana?
I'm priapistic as it is, so I walk around with a giant boner. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. Of the
It does feel like a great character detail for Pierce Chestnut. I do feel like Pierce Chestnut in the Hallmark holiday movie does walk around with a ceaseless erection.
God, he bumps into everything. It's like
knocking down Christmas trees.
Yeah, oh jeez, I knocked over the poinsettia plant. Sorry.
That could be the plot of the movie. He can't post-COVID. He is not able to. The shops are full. He is not able to shop anywhere where there are displays because he'll turn and it's just like someone holding a ladder where it's just knocking stuff over.
Yeah. It's like freaking the act one of Man of La Mancha with he's swinging the ladders around and people are diving. Only it's his penis.
Wow.
We also think
right.
Dana,
like all the elves are walking around with black eyes. That was my joke.
Oh, that's a great one.
You see, I could write for Seinfeld. I really should.
Oh, you should start. Dana, please start. Start writing some Seinfeld.
It's been so long.
I'm writing a spec script. I'm going to write a spec script for Friends. I am. I'm going to pound one out. I'm going
Dana,
to do it.
can you promise us something? If you write a spec script for Friends, can we do a live reading of it on the show?
Yeah, it's 100%. 100% yes.
Great.
Okay.
And we'll do it for charity.
Yes.
Look, we're having some fun, we're having some laughs, but I have a serious question I want to ask to the two of you. I try not to partake in gotcha journalism, but I need to do my due diligence here. Okay? Kimmy, you've already done some sort of fact checking on the rumors that persist online about your career, but here's a big one I need to address.
Oh no, Jesus Christ.
Kimmy, on your IMDb page, as a trivia fact, it says, is friends with Dana Ashbrook. True or false?
Oh my God!
You put that on your IMDb page. Does that help you? Does that help your career?
Yeah, I put that on my IMDb page. Yes.
Wow, Kimmy, I feel so used. Really? I thought what we had was like just
what? My IMDb page in 2002 had two things on it. Friends with Dana Ashbrook, dated David Duchovny. Those two.
Wow.
That was all.
Now, Dana, you laugh, but this road goes two ways. Because I'm on your IMDb page and listed under trivia. Dana, you can't wiggle your way out of this one with bawdy jokes. Listed under trivia, friend of Robert Bauer, with whom he co-starred in Twin Peaks, and Kimmy Robertson.
Yep.
We're halfway done with that spec script with all these friends.
We got Robert Bauer. He could play. He definitely could play one of the three. We gotta keep the same structure. It has to be three men, 3 women.
Yeah, structure is a delicate thing. You don't want to
Well,
unpack.
it's so powerful what they did. You know what they did. So let's why fuck with that. You know what I mean?
Dana,
yeah,
please, you're distracting from the scoop here. There's the big question that needs to be asked.
Uh-oh.
Kimmy,
Yes.
are you not friends with Bauer?
Damn it.
It now feels like a glaring absence from your IMDb trivia.
The water that kicked the hornet's nest. Really, honestly.
Okay, well, I plead the fifth.
Okay.
Fifth commandment.
Empire? Oh.
Now,
I can get him. I have him on speed dial. We can get him right now.
Let's do it.
I mean,
Bobby!
Let's do it.
Let's see. Tell him he's on with George Lucas now.
Tell him George and Watto got some questions.
Yeah.
Let's just see if he's around even.
Let's see if Johnny Horn himself is on.
But he's only Johnny Horn in the series, not in the pilot, and not in the return.
I know.
In the return, they went with a stunt man.
They proused it. They went with David Prout. They proused it.
Yeah.
Who's that?
Wow.
Who's David Prowse?
Yeah.
He was the guy walking around inside the Darth Vader costume. He just passed away.
Oh,
and
that's
he said all the lines.
I love him. I love that guy.
Yeah, he said all the lines, and then I dubbed over him with James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
And then I also got him, years later, people don't know this, I got him to come by and record the CNN thing. And then I did the same thing on him again.
Wow.
This is
just
CNN.
to get him? Just to stick it to him?
Yeah. Just, I had to do this spell thing.
He also did all of well, he did Mufasa's stunt work as well, we should say, David Prout.
Yeah. Kimmy, what did you do in the Andy Kaufman Carnegie Hall show?
I was a dancer, and I was a
chorus, Rockette. Yeah.
That's the international sign for Rockette.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I was a Rockette, and then I helped escort everybody to the buses to go for
Milk and cookies.
Yes.
Milk and cookies.
Did you know them before that, or was that your introduction to them?
To
Andy and Bob and that whole world.
I only knew Andy. I didn't know the rest of the crowd. He was very non-charactery around me. I only saw somebody that could have lived next door to me in Downey.
Wow.
But Kimmy, you know who else was in that show?
Who?
Santa.
Santa Claus.
You have another Santa story.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Dana, you're muted. Dana, I don't know why
you're muted. You're muted.
Dana, you
am I now?
No, you're back.
Anymore.
Thank God. All right. I have a story about Sam. No, I don't. I don't have anything. I got nothing.
Patrick, I believe there is a deadline story that is broken. If you'll check, which is kind of exciting.
Check deadline. Check it deadline.
Kimmy, I have a question for you. You were in Stuart Little.
Yes.
How little is he?
I worked. Boy, that's some mouse. Okay, that was my line, and I worked for 2 weeks.
Wow.
How slow were you saying it?
And Gina Davis repainted her nails every morning and then took the polish off before she went home. She didn't like red nail polish.
Wow.
George, my friend dated Kim Cabral, and she made him only wear white boxer shorts. But this was in the 80s. I don't know what she's into now, but that was in the 80s.
That was
Whoa.
when she was doing Star Trek movies.
Gossip.
Before that, maybe.
Oh yeah, before, yeah.
Wow.
Now, Dana, famously, you know, I wrote a movie series that was about a good boy who turns into a bad boy. Famously, Bobby Briggs is the opposite. He's a bad boy who turns into a good boy. Now, the way I presented the movies, I showed you Bad Boy first. I did a Bobby Briggs. I show you Bad Boy first, and then I show you Good Boy. But the way we experienced Bobby Briggs is we saw Bad Boy first, and then we saw Good Boy.
To be fair, George, you did this. You went boop, boop, boop. You went bad, good, bad.
Bad, 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 bad. Good, good, bad. Bad, bad, bad. Good, good, bad. Whereas you went, and in fairness, we did see some of the softer side of Bobby in the original run.
Yeah,
he wasn't all bad. He wasn't all bad.
I cried a lot.
You cried a lot, but you cry. Then you keep crying, and you're a good boy. In season 3, Bobby is, I think, one of the most pure-hearted characters, one of the kindest characters. We come to trust him. He turned out to be a good boy.
Wait,
were you happy about that, or were you hoping to get to be nasty again and be nasty Bobby?
Oh man, I didn't care. I really didn't care. Honestly,
You're happy to play a good boy.
I just was happy to be involved. Honestly,
yeah.
I'm happy that he, put me in there. I didn't know anything. If I was just going to be in it for one little thing or what.
Do you think Mike and Bobby are still friends? I know we see Mike a little bit in the show, but he's not around Bobby anymore. Do you think they grew apart? Or do we just see all the fun, like middle-aged fun they were having together?
I think Bobby squared up, man. I think Bobby probably squared up, and Mike was his profession? What's he do? He's a realtor,
like a realtor or a lawyer or something.
It's a less exciting job than Bobby has. He's office bound. He's like in a insurance. Yeah.
Well, the job of carrying a pistol and having the badge isn't all excitement all the time. There's a lot of
paperwork.
A lot of downtime, George. A lot of downtime. A lot of paperwork. Oh yeah.
Dana, can I hear everything about the woman in the car who yells at you?
Can you what?
I want to hear everything about filming with the woman in the car who's screaming at you.
Oh.
That woman, she was like
Wait, excuse me. I have to leave the room for a few minutes if you're going to talk about that because it makes me literally nauseous.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, because I was going to let you guys go in a few minutes. So maybe we say thank you to Kimmy and then get Dana's last story and then let him go.
Okay.
Let's do that. Kimmy, thank you so much.
Kimmy, thank you so much. Oh, I'll get you.
I don't know where my camera is.
Patrick and Watto, get those kisses in.
Wow.
Bye,
Bye, Kimmy. Thank you.
Bye, Kimmy.
How are you soon? Let's talk soon. Let's talk business soon.
Patrick, you are an absolutely savage producer. When you're looking at the clock and you're trying to get the guest out of there, you say, I will literally make you fucking sick unless you leave the show now. I will find the thing that makes you nauseous and threaten you with it, hold it over your head like a knife unless you leave the show.
I didn't know.
She's like, my mom's knocking at the door. Let me go get the door. Hold on. No, you're going? Just go ahead and go. Just go. Don't come back.
Patrick.
Just go.
You did know. She said, this story makes me sick. And you said, in that case, I guess, bye, Kimmy.
Watto,
I'll be back in a minute. You said, oh, no, you won't.
No, you chose the story. She said, it's me or the story. And you said, bye-bye.
Watto, do you want to know why?
Why?
Because we're scheduled to watch a movie at 8 with other guests, and I wanted to keep it moving, and I didn't want to take up all their time all night.
Why don't he
think about what the word was in that sense? You wanted. Patrick
do you
wants
want to
above
know?
all else.
Do you want to know, Patrick, how I knew you were such a big NSYNC fan?
How, Watto?
Because you love to say bye, bye, bye.
Dana, can I hear about the lady now?
What? Oh God. Yeah. She was an acting teacher, I think, in the area.
Yeah.
And she spent a lot in the rehearsals too. She was going for it the whole way. And
Wherever she's in classes, everyone who wants to be an actor should go take her class.
I agree. She's great. She's so good.
I don't know what she was doing in that scene, but everyone needs to be doing it always.
Yeah, she I don't know either. That was all just like, you know, I'd met her just, you know, a couple hours before. Wow. And you know, she was we blocked it out, and then she was just doing that, and that was it. I just
was it written that way? Was the scene written that way? Like she turns and sees the young girl, and she goes, "Oh no! Ah! Ah!"
Well, no, I mean, no, it was not that specific, but yeah, it was like, you know, she turns, notices the girl, freaks out, and I don't know exactly how it was written, but no.
It's such a perfect scene, and your expression throughout it is the height of perfect still comic underplaying. The befuddlement. You have almost the expression right now on your face.
Well, it's because I always felt like it was like, you know, as you want to try and have some sort of realistic thing, you know, make it seem realistic, and sometimes I felt like by not like being like medic or something, can we get an ambulance or something, but you know, it is what it is.
Dana, what's something that you find so repellent that it would force you to leave a talk show?
Because we'll do it.
Hey, you'll do it. Don't blame us. You'll do it.
No, I want Dana to stay forever.
There's a football
I
game.
want him to stay forever.
You guys are the best. And what movie are you watching?
Watch Radioland Murders.
Oh, Radioland,
which is my version of On the Air. Basically, it's about that crazy madcap comedy from the early days of broadcasting, made in the early '90s.
Nice.
And Dana,
it's a little '50s piece, a little movie that took place in the '50s. It was cool. It's nice to kind of do all that.
Yeah.
All the, you know, clothes and all that.
Dana, you're the best. I hope you come back at some point. Because
yes, hey, thank you for having me. Always
welcome anytime, Dana.
Hopefully making some money and you know, all that. Stay healthy, boys.
You too.
Yeah. All right.
Bye,
Good
Dana.
to see you, everybody. Bye, George. Bye, Watto.
Bye, Dana.
Patrick, thanks.
See you, bye. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Patrick,
Don't
we're the last
apologize
people
to
you need
us.
to apologize to. You need to be apologizing to the people that you've repelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. What are you gonna do? All right, so
I really like the way that you have the reflection of Cooper's ring on your right in front of the countdown clock.
Right there.
Yeah.
So, let me. I'm gonna bring in some guests, George, because we're about to start watching this movie.
Fantastic.
We have one friend of the show, and we have one new friend of the show. Isn't that exciting?
Very exciting.
I'll bring in friend of the show first. You know him, George, because he wrote a biography about you.
Oh boy.
Please welcome Brian J. Jones.
Good evening.
Hi,
Good
Brian.
evening. Hey guys.
Hello, Brian.
And then our second guest, longtime Lucasfilm employee, has worked Mad Magazine, has worked at Hasbro, he's worked everywhere. On Radioland Murders, he was a post-production / visual effects intern, and it was his first Lucasfilm job. Please welcome Jonathan Bresman.
George, Watto, Patrick, Brian.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi there.
Hello,
I'm well, thanks. How's
Wonderful
everybody
to
here?
see you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
So we're going to start this movie. I believe I sent it to both of you guys.
Yeah.
We can let me know when you guys are all ready, and we will all press play at the same time.
Ready?
All right. George, Watto, Brian, you let me know.
I'm good to go.
Go ahead and I'll catch up. It's not working.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we will press play in 1, 2, 3. Jonathan, I want to hear about how you got started at Lucasfilm, because you worked there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the short version is Lucasfilm was very late in getting back to all its interns. So I had already taken another internship at the Muppets. And what happened was, at the last minute, Lucasfilm tried tracking me down. I was interning for David Letterman at the time, and they couldn't find me because I was taking a semester off from school. So they were trying to call my dorm room. They were trying to call my apartment in New York. They were calling Letterman. And what ended up happening was the visual effects producer who I ended up working for, a woman named Christine Hanna, ended up connecting with my mom. She finally gave up and called, my parents' house, and numerous times ended up just calling my mom, and they struck up a friendship. And basically, Christine Hanna decided, I like his mom. She's put up with me calling for him again and again. So she decided she was going to hire me before we even finally spoke, which is good because I was a little bit of a cocky bastard when she finally reached me, because I was kind of like, you guys missed your chance. I'm doing the Muppets this summer. And she's like, no, you don't know what you're missing. Skywalker Ranch, it's this gorgeous place. I'm like, listen, I'm sure you have a really nice lawn at Skywalker Ranch. I'm sure it's really whatever you do in California with your wine and your hot tubs. But I'm going to work for Kermit because you guys missed your own deadline. And she put up with that because I guess she decided, she's spoken to Alice Bresman enough times that this must be a good boy, even if he's being a little bit of a cocky bastard to me right now. So that's how I got the first job there. And she sort of convinced me, and I was like, all right, fine, get me a place to live, get me transportation.
Yeah.
Put me on hold. She got me a place to live with someone at THX who took me there on the back of his motorcycle every day, and that's how I got started.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, this is very funny. I didn't know that you had that Muppets connection because Brian also wrote a biography on Jim Henson. So
really?
A very funny...
in both wheelhouses there.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
What year was this, Jonathan?
So this was 1994. So
okay,
Henson
so it was
in New York was still in the old mansion. And it was really like, do I choose between like Kermit or Kenobi? I chose Kenobi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that choice?
Because I ended up getting to see Muppets anyway, because I got to see Frank Oz do Yoda on Phantom Menace. So it was kind of the best of all possible worlds, Because
you wrote something that I had as a child and still have back at my parents' house, the Art of Episode 1 book. You were around for Episode 1 a lot.
Yes. So basically what happened was Lucasfilm took me out to work there summer of 94, where I worked on kind of the tail end of Young Indie and the sort of some of the post and effects and pickup shots of Radioland. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think
I think you got bounced. Yeah,
I'm sorry. So I'm responding to myself. So, and it was an interesting period because that was the period when everyone was kind of waiting and wondering: is George going to do Star Wars? Is George going to do Star Wars?
Yeah.
And they took me back the next summer, and that was when I started working. That was the summer of 95. George had just started working on the script. I think he started sort of fall, winter of 94.
Mm-hmm.
So in 95, he had got the art department together, and he brought me in as what they called a conceptual researcher. So I worked there again, summer of 95. They sent me video equipment back to my dorm room while I finished college, and then I came back again in 96. And that was just phenomenal because I got to I got to go to film school on George's dime. My job was basically to consume pop culture. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things when you got the money. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the sting of that.
No, it's funny, because you used to eat actually my cereal in the ranch basement kitchen. And I was always tempted to say, I would trade you the proportionate percentage of my income for the proportionate percentage of your income. But I never had the guts because, to be honest, I ended up eating all your Hershey's Kisses out of the refrigerator.
So that's for a point.
Which I shouldn't have been eating. I shouldn't have been eating those anyway. Those are not great for a diabetic.
I know. That was the complaint. That's why they stopped stocking the kitchen for you, but no one told you, and that's why you ate everyone else's food because you thought it was still your food.
I still have some of your cereal. I think I'm going to eat it.
Yeah, it was Crispix.
Yeah, you got Crispix, George?
Yeah, Crispix. It's crispy times 2, except
Wasn't
not
this-
for me because I didn't get any.
Wasn't the C3POs?
Yeah.
You know what? I went as the C3PO's box to the ILM Halloween party.
Wow.
I broke the color copier in the ranch library, magnifying the C3PO's box, 500%. So, but I didn't tell anyone. So I'm spending like early Friday evening photocopying this cereal box and then, pasting it onto like a big empty bike box to be my costume.
Yeah.
And at the ILM party, people are like, "Oh, cool costume." And then Monday morning, they're like, "Brisbane, you broke the copier."
Oh, wow.
So,
You're making an impact. That's what matters.
I made an impact.
Brian, how many people did you talk to when you were writing George's biography? While he's not here, let's talk about him.
It was actually fairly hard because when you're doing it unauthorized, and there's a lot of people that don't want to talk to you. I did get Gary Kurtz, for example, which was a big one.
That guy's willing to talk.
John Cordy,
Gary's got a big mouth.
John Cordy, who was fantastic and did actually one of my favorite little quirky films, Twice Upon a Time. I got Randall Kleiser, who was his college roommate, who sat there and insisted to me that George had been drawing stormtroopers in college. Lucas remembered that as actually cars and not stormtroopers, but it's a story Randall Kleiser tells all the time.
Nice.
There you go, fantastic cartoon.
Was Randall Kleiser on balance drawing Danny Zuko's in college?
He was drawing pink ladies.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the two of them lived together in an apartment that the only way you could get up to George's room was you had to go out the window and climb up a ladder, then go in the upstairs window. There was actually no stairway going up there. So,
wow.
Nice.
So anyway, it's cool to talk with George's college roommates on that. You don't get those very often.
Yeah. You didn't talk to Watto. Watto's a still
Yeah, Watto had the goods, but I couldn't get Watto. His representation wouldn't let me at him.
I could bury George with the things I know, but I'm a good friend.
Jonathan, it says on your IMDb that you worked on the making of documentary.
Yes. So John Schenk was the director on that.
The making of Radioland?
I'm sorry?
The Phantom Menace making of documentary. Sorry.
Yes.
There's no documentary on the making of Radioland Murders?
I wish.
Coming soon.
Yeah, really. Anyway, but yes, so I worked on the making of documentary. I sort of was splitting my time between that documentary and the PR department. So it was a lot of schlepping tripods in the Tunisian desert during that sandstorm type of thing. But it was great because I got to got to be there. I got to be on Tatooine with a lightsaber. And now when I watch the movie, it's like, there goes Liam Neeson and Ray Park, on Tatooine with their lightsabers, and they're stepping where I peed a few hours earlier.
What was the most surreal moment being on and around that production?
I think the weirdest thing is I was a proto Jar Jar Binks. So there's sort of two parts to this story. One is, so what happened was, so Ben Burt, who is the editor on the movie and the sound editor, was also heading up Previs. And Previs in those days, the pre-visualization was transitioning to the digital, form that we know it now, where they make that sort of cartoon of the movie. But they were just in the beginnings of that. So sometimes it was just easier for us to go act out the scenes than for them to pre-visit.
Yeah.
So one day Ben comes into me and my coworker Koichi Kurisu's office, and he says, "Listen, this was a Friday afternoon. He says, Monday we're going to go shoot the scene where the awkward lanky alien, gets introduced to the strapping Jedi. And I don't think I need to tell you who's going to be the lanky, awkward alien and who's going to be the strapping Jedi. So John, if you can get an orange leotard somewhere this weekend, or unitard, the art department's got a mask for you. Show up Monday, ready to go."
Yeah.
So, it's the scene where Jar Jar is introduced and all the sort of like big, Trade Federation battle tanks are coming through the swamp. So like, I'm awkward and clumsy, but I'm not an actor. I can't like duplicate the same awkward, lanky movements. That's why they got Ahmed, who is a dancer.
Yeah.
So Ben, in order to get a good performance out of me, chases after me in a pickup truck through like the hills of Skywalker Ranch as I'm frantically trying not to get hit by this pickup truck. Now, what adds to this dimension of, because I'm expendable, I'm an intern, they could kill me and bury me up in the hills of Skywalker Ranch. He's a billionaire. No one's gonna come looking for me.
Wait, George, hang on. I'm gonna take it really quick. I gotta ask George a question. Have you done that?
Have I done what?
Ever buried an intern on Skywalker Ranch? They're not here. They can't hear. Nobody's here.
Yeah. No, I haven't buried an intern.
Okay, good.
But I have buried things though.
Like what?
I mean, mostly. I don't want to talk about it. I'll talk about it with them on the screen.
Okay.
Hold on one second. I'm sorry to do this, Jonathan Bryan. Patrick, can you take everyone off screen except for me and you?
Yeah, sure. Hey, what?
I buried some interns at Skywalker.
Oh no, I forgot that you had that option too. Whoa.
I'm not proud of it. It was in my pre-Zen days. I just started digging and I found some stuff of George's that I had to pull out of the dirt that's now just here in my apartment. But there are some interns there. I've never told George because as a friend, I want to give him the gift of plausible deniability.
He has no idea that you said it. All right, let me bring him back in. Wow. So you're running like wild. You're almost getting hit.
Yeah. So the thing is that George has a herd of cattle up in those hills.
Mm-hmm.
Damn straight. I'm like Curly from City Slippers too.
Yeah. He's buried up there. The legend of
the legend.
Gold.
Yeah.
So that's where Jack Palance is, up in the hills of Skywalker Ranch in Marin County.
Doing one-arm push-ups up in the sky.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of cow poodoo, I guess, to use the Star Wars term, in the hills of Skywalker Ranch. And my job was to run and then dive, as if I was getting run over by. Yeah. So that was surreal. And then where it gets more surreal is, this is all on camcorder and put together in a cut of the movie that they then sort of layer actors and effects over. So a few months later, there I am watching George show that footage to Liam Neeson and Ahmed Best, saying, "This is what you said. Do it like him, but better and faster, and more intense.
Faster and more intense.
Faster and more intense.
Faster and more intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Faster and more intense.
Can I ask, Jonathan, that is a great story. Would you mind telling it one more time faster and more intense?
Wado, I should tell you the story about the time I took a nap in one of your pod racer engines on Tatooine because it was just too hot in Tunisia in August.
Let's hear it.
It was just that. I was slave labor on the set. I was an intern.
I mean, now you're speaking my language, slave labor. Let's get into it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So all the real people working there got to be in these air-conditioned tents where there just wasn't enough room for, little post-production assistant like me. Refrigerated, air-conditioned tents. So I've never been.
I was in one of those tents because they got to keep those computers cold.
Yes, right. All the CG. So I had never actually felt my blood heat up the way that I did in Tunisia in August. And the only place to take refuge was in an old jet engine in your shop, in the the area behind your shop. So
I know it well. There are a lot of interns buried there.
Exactly. Like, it was almost me.
Well, no, you're not one of my interns.
No, not one of your interns, right?
No, I'd never bury someone else's interns. That's impolite.
One of the things that by the time you were by the time you were with us, Jonathan, what I had learned was I made a big mistake because, as you learn over the course of your career, valuable lessons about the ways that you tell stories and release them out into the world. And previs is such an important part of the process. But I made the mistake, and I still it's one of my big regrets of releasing the previs for New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi in theaters for people to see back in '77. I released the previs to the world before we had fully gotten the full McClunky. polished off and finished. And basically, the version that was nominated for an Oscar was the equivalent of me filming you on a video camera, you know, stepping on poop on the mountain. That's what the version that got nominated for Best Picture. That's the one
literally.
Yeah.
You had some jamoke in a big coat doing previews for Jabba.
You're right.
Yeah.
But when you,
yeah, good. No, you go on. When I what?
I'm glad though that you redid the effects for Empire because you let me be a stormtrooper then.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool. When?
So when Vader is leaving Cloud City and he's walking across, I don't know what you call it, a gantry, a catwalk to his shuttle. It goes very quickly partially because I was an awful stormtrooper probably. I was too skinny for the armor and it was slipping off my body. But you see,
weren't a little short for a stormtrooper.
He was a little skinny. He was a little slender for a stormtrooper. I had to do this kind of like zombie, like hip shaking walk to keep the armor on. But you see Vader, a couple of Imperial officers, and then 4 stormtroopers, and I'm like the first stormtrooper closest to the screen.
Wow.
So as much as I complained at first about how can he do this, how can George do this to the movies, and it's over CGing, then I was a hypocrite, and I get to be a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Now,
and then it suddenly you realize this is the perfect way to release these movies.
Oh well,
you can feel the difference. You can feel the difference. You can sense that the Empire has at least one extra guy helping out.
A very fabulous stormtrooper.
Yes, a very fabulous stormtrooper who, was. Those helmets are very tight, and no one warns you. You have to put them on sideways and screw them into place. So
now,
if no one tells you when you're wearing
people
glasses,
talked about how you could actually get physically, like some people said they got physically ill with them, and it was like greenish and orange. Did you experience that with the helmet on?
Yeah. So what happened was, I don't know if this was purposely done or not. Like I sort of had claimed that I had stormtrooper experience before, like doing conventions and stuff, and I didn't. I lied.
What?
So when I got on set, there's just this big trunk that they put down in front of you.
Yeah.
And they're like, go to it. And I'm like, all right, how hard can this be? But I open it up and there's like a zillion pieces, and like, I don't know what's like a forearm versus a shin guard. And you have to put on this like body stocking first, like the black joints between the armor. That's just a black body stocking. So I'm like, I don't have a dressing room. I have to like strip down to my boxers. I'm putting on this body stocking that doesn't leave anything to the imagination. I try to like play it off and be funny by being like, I'm the swan princess. Like no one's laughing. Right?
I think it's pretty funny.
I thought so too, but no one appreciated it.
Yeah.
You put on the armor, and at least that iteration of the armor. So here's the thing, right? There's like this cod piece that you have to strap closed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't bend over to close it because the torso piece is all of a piece with the cod piece. And no stormtrooper wants to ask another stormtrooper to play with his cod piece. Watto, what that's like, right?
Well, let's not generalize. But okay, yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. And HR doesn't want you asking the female employees to adjust your cod piece.
Right, that's true. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So the only thing you can do is get down on your back to reach around your cod piece, but then you can't sit up because you can't do a sit. So you're like a turtle on your back, right? In the stormtrooper armor. And I'm wasting their time because I'm so they prop me back up, and then no one, I guess maybe because they're pissed at me at this point. So I put on the helmet and screw it into place and smash my glasses into my face because it's too tight for the glasses. So that's where I can't see. I'm in pain. I'm basically a turtle. I'm too skinny for the armor. So I'm doing this hippie shake kind of thing and this zombie arm thing, and they didn't let me be an extra in episode 1 after that.
Look, speaking of episode 1, Jonathan, you worked at Hasbro, but in more recent years, you were in charge of sort of creative IP management sort of stuff there. Yeah. I'm curious, I know this was before your time, but when you were at Hasbro, did they ever talk about this bad boy around the offices? Did you ever sort of walk by guys in the hallway high-fiving each other, going like, remember the best product we ever made?
It was really all about the jaunty hat.
The little hat!
The little hat.
Show him the hat, Watto. There he is.
Yeah.
It's like Peter Sellers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Mark Boudreau, the Star Wars guy there, that was always like, yeah, it was really the Watto, not the Millennium Falcon,
No.
the Watto hat.
Boudreau was the one where he said, like, I don't know how we're going to top the last Watto figure. And they went, put the little hat on.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's how things work around there. It's the little details.
Yeah.
Yes.
George,
And
what's
look,
up?
this is, I feel like this was a first in terms of toy technology. Motion capture the wings.
So I'll have you know, there's a whole department that sits around coming up with that copy.
Oh boy. Talk about the
Translates really
dream
well to
job.
an action figure, doesn't it? Yeah.
Now,
Talk about the dream job.
Now, does that just mean they are capturing motion with the wings?
I don't know. I love answers here, especially because it's in quotes. I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Motion captured the wings.
Motion captured wings. Well, you know, George had gotten such a big chunk of Hasbro that they needed to make everything and anything to make back the money, you know?
Right.
Which is why there was that Onion article. I don't know if you ever saw it, that it was like there were so many extra Jar Jar or Rick Ollier action figures that it was solid fuel for the third world.
I was looking here, you're talking about the copywriting. I was looking at the little bio write-up for Watto on the back of the package here.
Yep.
And I said, progressive? Why are they calling Watto progressive? And then I double-checked. I went, oh, no, possessive.
Yeah.
This isn't me making a joke. I literally double-take first. I would possessive. They're saying he's a slave owner. Got it.
Yeah.
It's literally the shrewd and possessive owner.
I'll ask again. George, what are you doing?
I'm doing your job, Patrick. I'm trying to make sure that we have a final thing to watch by I'm having to use multiple devices to upload a thing.
It's not working for you? Oh, I understand what you're I understand what you're doing. I understand what you're doing.
I don't understand what he's doing.
We're probably going to watch something after this, and George is confirming that the show works.
See.
Don't get me worked up here.
Now, Brian, I'm reading page 380 of the book here. I'm looking at 380, and it says that George just really loved an Abbott and Costello movie called Who Done It?
Right.
And that's basically where he got the idea for Radioland Murders.
Well, Who Done It is one of their sort of slapstick ones that takes place at, you know, a radio station. But what's interesting is this it is funny. This project was actually, you know, marinating at the time he was doing American Graffiti. It was actually wrapped into the original deal for American Graffiti.
Right.
And sort of typical of Lucas, the idea didn't actually exist or wasn't fleshed out, but it was enough that it was actually announced as his next project. And he actually had Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, who wrote American Graffiti, working on a version of this that never really went anywhere. But it eventually was announced that it was going to be Lucas directed and Gary Kurtz produced, and then it went nowhere for about 10 years. Yeah, there it is. Who done it? But it's one of those movies. What's so interesting about this is he sort of like anticipated, you know, Tune In Tomorrow and Radio Days. It's all of those movies, but it's like trying harder, I think, than those two.
There's a poster. A framed poster for Radioland Murders.
Very good.
You know, it's funny you talk about Radio Days. Like my sort of fantasy after the fact for this movie was that somehow if they had done a mashup of Radio Days and Manhattan Murder Mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, but what makes this movie really important, and then I'll be done with my TED Talk, is this is sort of the first time Lucas is playing around with that CGI technology, and he brings in Mel Smith, the director, who there's a great line, and I actually use it in the book. Mel Smith would look through the lens and say, "Now, what is it I'm supposed to be seeing?" Because Lucas was literally saying, "We'll finish this in post." Right. So sets weren't finished being built. And Jonathan, were you around for this one, or? I mean, I want to know what it looked like out there, because you know he didn't finish sets because he's like, we'll build that, and it was sort of the first time he was checking to see if it would work. This is the road that actually leads us to episode 1.
Yeah. I wasn't on set. I was in post, and so it's interesting you say that. So part of the job was that, and you do see this a lot on Phantom Menace as well, where he's creating scenes that aren't actually there, right? You know, he's piecing things together. You know, or George, you'd sort of be painting the scene after the fact.
I mean, it's literally what George is doing right now. He's piecing together some scenes.
He's working in post over there.
Yeah.
He would do this on Young Indie too, where he'd sort of come up with pickup shots after the fact. So like my first week as an intern there, they said, you know what, we need this scene with this biplane strafing the radio tower. Go make that happen.
Yeah.
And it would be this weird thing where, like, on the one hand, we're filming this, we rent a biplane, we rent machine guns, whatever. But at the same time, ILM is busy making the like fake radio tower through a combination of models and CG. And the fact that George is doing this for what is essentially, this nothing movie. It was basically, it was the practice run with the Young Indie crew. Is really more of what
that changed the future of movies.
Once again.
Yeah.
And was this...
As I already proved, anybody can change the future of movies with if you make something that's just immensely popular and successful. Yeah. Anybody can do that. If you make something that's big and popular and successful, it's easy to change the world that way.
Easy.
Try changing the future of movies by making a movie that almost no one goes to see.
Much harder. Yes.
It's one of those things where it's like the degree of difficulty in terms of, you don't get Return of the King winning Best Picture if you don't take a little stop by in Radioland first.
No, you got to commit a little murder. Yes. Before the king can return.
Right. Ahmed Best has that line, right? Right. Ahmed, what did Jar Jar had to walk so Gollum could run or whatever?
Yeah.
And he's right.
That's right.
He's really right.
Yeah, I'm watching this thing out of the corner of my eye, and it's interesting seeing Brian Benben and Michael McKean. It's like an episode of Dream On up here.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's funny because the thing that we watched before this was David Lynch's On the Air sitcom, which features David L. Lander. So it's been a real,
both Lenny and Squiggy, yeah.
Yeah.
You got Squiggy and On the Air, and you got Lenny in Radioland Murders.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, talking about Mel Smith, though, it's funny looking at this now, and it makes me think, like, because this came out in 1994, and, clearly they're using lots of sort of known character actors, American character actors at the time. But can you imagine if they had sort of made this movie almost as like a working title Hugh Grant movie, as like a 1994 era indie film? I bet you would have done a lot better, because it just would have been that type of, it would have fit in with that whole sort of Emma Thompson, Hugh Grant.
Sure. Now, George, let me ask you this, because chronologically, I have a question here. George Burns is in this movie.
Sure,
George.
yeah.
And he's playing himself.
Right.
Yeah. He's like 95 here, George.
Yeah.
What's going on?
He's digitally enhanced.
Well, he only says only a little bit of it was for the movie. We borrowed most of it from another performance.
Oh,
so
yeah?
we only filmed a little bit. We basically, a lot of the time you're looking at, that's a special effect.
Sure.
We didn't, I wasn't going to make an old man stand there and, act for us all day. We got as little as we could, as much as we could. And then we used movie magic to create the rest of it, because we were trying to figure out a new way of making movies.
Yeah.
I mean, Patrick, you wonder where I got my comedic sensibility from. That digital George Burns lived right next door on the computer I grew up on.
That's true.
Yeah.
I crib from the best, baby.
Oh, God, you Watto.
I wish. What if, oh boy, that's something we should pitch to the studios. A Watto-led Oh God reboot.
Oh Watto.
Oh, Watto.
That would get greenlit, would it not?
It would.
Oh God, you would.
Yeah. If George came back and was like, "This is my first movie in 15 years.
Yep.
We're doing an Oh God reboot." Lotto's
who gets the John Denver part?
John Denver.
Patrick.
Yeah.
a CGI John Denver.
CGI Grand Moff Denver.
Could you imagine if, like, tomorrow it was announced George Lucas is back out of retirement. Disney may own Lucasfilms. He's starting a company called George Films, and people are like, "Oh boy, here we go. What's he gonna do? First project, Oh God reboot starring Watto."
Netflix would pick it up in a second.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I want to ask you, because I'm not a good producer. Okay. Give us some good Rick McCallum stories.
Oh.
Is there such a thing? I didn't actually find those.
So, honey, honey, honey. You know, that's I was honey, honey, honey to him. I mean, he was. I mean, it's funny because I think about just sort of his personality versus George's personality, and you know, Rick was there to be a bull in the china shop. I mean, and that's what people would unofficially call him. You know, behind his, you know,
Rick Berman action figure.
Hey, George.
No, I
George,
said honey, 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 and I'm afraid it attracted a bee.
Who got that for you, George?
You did.
Rick McCallum.
Oh, his friend what?
It came with the pod racing Lego set.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
You know, he's this very. It's a huge contrast between him and George, right? You know, and I guess that's why you hired him, right? Rick is just this very like, you know, he's a cannonball, basically. Sure. And I think it was a cannonball that sort of dragged George to, you know, get going on the next piece. And he was also very good at sort of getting kind of the impossible done for sort of no budget, which is he sort of, you know, he earned his position on Young Indie, kind of traveling the world, making Young Indie. And I think Rick would be very at home. I think he'd be at home on Tatooine. You know, I think he's someone who gets done what he needs to get done. I think that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
Right? I think he'd fit in Mos Eisley Spaceport.
Yeah. All right. It's a good way to put it. George, how are you feeling watching this movie back, George?
I couldn't get your link to work, so I'm reliving the memory in my head.
Okay. I'm sorry, George.
There were too many people had tried to watch it, so it wouldn't let me, George Lucas. It's like they're treating me the way Disney treats me.
You know, I have to say one thing that Rick, I do owe Rick, I have to say, is you could appeal to his sense of humor. So I was begging to go on location.
Yeah.
Begging and begging and begging. And there wasn't really any reason for me to go on location. But, you know, me and my pal Koichi, we created these like comic books featuring Rick McCallum, you know, that we would like send up to Rick. We'd make like these action figure dioramas, you know, for Rick McCallum. You know, we were just like, and then he was like, all right, honey, you know, like you can go on over, just, you know, keep your head down and don't get in anybody's way. And so he, you know, he'd be loyal to you, you know. Yeah. He was a bull in the china shop, but he, you know, he took me on sort of an amazing adventure. So
yeah,
I owe that.
George, I feel like this is a great time because we've had Brian on before, but is there anything you want to ask him or clarify from his book? I feel like this is a good meeting of the minds that doesn't happen that often.
Well, I've talked to Brian before. I think he's a professional. He doesn't make things up. If he doesn't know something, then he just leaves it at what he does. You know. I might not like seeing every detail in print, but that doesn't make that's his job is to tell my story just the way, you know. Essentially, Brian and I are both storytellers at heart. Just I invent stories, I make them up, unless I'm doing something like Red Tails, in which case it's about finding a general sense in which the true story is also put into a shape that's good for storytelling.
Sure.
But in that sense, I think Brian and I think you and I are kindred spirits.
Well, I would appreciate that. I think so. I mean, I think the thing I try to do that you do is try to find the narrative that comes out of a lot of different pieces, which I know is something that you spent your entire life trying to do. Again, I'm not necessarily fixing it in post, but you're always trying to like keep everything sort of from spinning out of control, which has always been very important.
Right. Now, Brian,
all of that having been said, Brian, can we talk about your report that George had been referred to as sexually unimaginative?
That wasn't my report. That was Marcia's report.
Hold on.
I may have paraphrased, but I didn't.
You reported it. We're not saying they were your words, but you reported them, didn't you?
I did probably report it. Yep.
Yeah, you basically did a Kinsey report on me.
Getting people to talk about George and Marcia, it was like pulling teeth.
Well, I'll go to the index. I'll look under sex,
Look under
George
unimaginative.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what was it like working for Mad Magazine and writing about Star Wars after you had worked at Lucasfilm?
So it's funny, you know, because George has a long history with Mad Magazine in that he got Mort Drucker to do the American Graffiti poster.
Yeah, that's right.
So he'd grown up being a fan, and he personally went to Mort's house. You know, like Mort didn't know who George was back in whatever 1972 or whatever. You know, and there it is, and got Mort to do it.
Classic.
Well, so what was great about that relationship is that George actually protected Mad Magazine from Lucasfilm's lawyers. So there's this amazing story where after Empire Strikes Back came out, you know, Mad had done a cover with Alfred E. Newman as Yoda. And George wrote this fan letter saying, this was great. You guys deserve an Oscar. Like, you know, brilliant, brilliant stuff. You know, may the force be with you. The whole, you know, he does the whole thing in the fan letter.
Yeah.
At almost the same time, Lucasfilm's lawyers send a cease and desist letter to Mad. And like, they want like the prints destroyed. They want all monies made from it sent to Lucasfilm and whatever. So Bill Gaines, the publisher of Mad, has these two letters that have come almost simultaneously. One is high praise from George. The other is from his lawyers, like just being full tilt, you know, out for blood.
Indeed.
So he like photocopies George's letter, writes like, take it up with your boss, sends it to Lucasfilm, and he doesn't hear from them again. So then when I was writing the book, you know, I went to Howard Rothman, who was, you know, the head of Lucas Licensing and was like sort of the big lawyer. I said, you know, Howard, I've always heard this story around Mad's offices. Is it true? And Howard was like, yeah, it's, you know, yes, it is. You know, we're just doing our job. We're the lawyers doing our job. But yeah, George, absolutely. Now, I don't know, in the Disney era now, would Mad get that kind of protection anymore?
That's a good question.
But it was great. And George was still a reader of Mad, which I found out in a very awkward way, where I was on staff at Mad, and I went to a Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm was doing a like Costumes of the Galaxy event, you know, like with the Met Museum. I don't know. It was like they were in New York doing one of the like, you know, the Amidala costumes and all that. So I went to the event, and I, you know, went to say hi to George and Rick. And George is like, George says to me, he's like, you know, I prefer the way Mort draws me to the way some of the other guys draw me, because some of the other guys were not as kind to George, and it was like very like, okay, I'm gonna try to melt away here. I feel terrible and awkward, you know. Yeah, he and his son, I think, just continued to read Mad. So yeah,
we like to laugh.
I do want to say we're about to hit 38 minutes in the movie. My timer got messed up. We're hitting 38 minutes now. Just so everyone.
All right. So this is in the section in the book, Brian, where you talk about my when I dated Linda Ronstadt. You say, on the face of it, it was an odd pairing. Lucas was quiet and introspective, and another gripe of Marcia's, not terribly adventurous in bed.
Yes.
Do you have a second source for that?
I don't have to. My primary source was Peter Biskin.
Okay.
Who I actually spoke with.
Author of Great Raging Bulls and all that.
Who actually spoke with her personally. I
Okay.
think another one was Peter Asher.
All right.
Who knew her well and was her manager, I think, at one point, even for a while.
Right. All right. But this is, you know, Woodward and Bernstein, they had to get that second source. So I'm glad that you did I'm glad you at least have a second source, but nobody saw me.
Well,
you
know,
think you have all these employees at the ranch, George.
There could have been people talking out of school. Now, I will tell you the story I love, and this is where you are such actually an old school softie that people don't realize. I dug this out of Marin County zoning request paperwork you had filed where you were going to build a honeymoon suite cottage for you and Linda on the ranch. That's adorable.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some good research.
That's real research, right?
Did you have any, Brian, in your research? Did anyone ever talk about why I kept that stained glass up in the at Skywalker?
Oh.
No, that's a great question. I would love if you could maybe provide a little bit of insight on that as well. I would think that would be a dagger in the heart every time you looked at it.
I think it's a sign of strength of character.
And
I think it's also being able to separate the art from the artist. That it would be petty and childish to destroy a thing of beauty simply because you have a personal issue with the person who made it.
Yeah, that's not quite what you said in front of a congressional committee, but it's close.
Oh, no, not my films. No. My films are not done yet, all right? And I'll tell you what I buried on those mountains. It's all of the original negatives and 70 and 35 millimeter prints of the previs for the original trilogy. They're buried on that. They're buried up in those woods on the hillside where all the animals are pooping. No one will ever find them.
I thought it might be with any tapes of the Star Wars Holiday Special. Look at there's Watto. It looks like
look at that. He's major Gonzo energy there.
Okay, now I want to talk about this. Okay, excuse me, Jonathan.
I like the belt.
Yes,
Jonathan. What are the years that you were working at Mad Magazine?
So there was 2 periods. So I interned at Mad before Lucasfilm, and then worked at Mad from 2005 to 2009. So I was not there, and I was at Lucasfilm in '99 when this was done, this Mad parody.
Okay, so you're telling me that you had no part in writing Star Wars Epic Load 1, The Phantom Megamess?
I did not.
Okay, because there is a continuity issue here, as we pointed out in this first introductory panel. Watto is accused of being merely a ripoff of Gonzo, which could not be further from the truth. But then, Patrick, can you post the other photo I sent you?
Yep, hang on. Oh, it's loading. 1 second.
Oh boy.
Epic load. Epic load 1.
This is epic load, epic fail.
I'll do this. You ready? Hang on.
Yes.
Oh, that's your password. That's your password, Patrick.
That's not.
He's not the junk dealer. You've come at a good time. Almost everything is on sale. What's not on sale? What parts do you need? Well, I'm not sure yet. Then I'm not sure what's not on sale yet. I suspect what you're going to need is not going to be on sale.
Wow.
Feels like you've really given Watto a short shrift here. All Mad Magazine has chosen to spotlight is Watto's failure as a junk shop owner rather than his failure as a gambler or his failure as a slave owner. It feels like a pretty one-note parody.
Yeah, you're right. Here's your chance, Watto.
I'm just saying, I mean, I failed at a number of things in my life. Don't just make it seem like I'm bad at maintaining inventory. Very reductive. I take great offense.
He's actually a dilettante failure.
Exactly. Thank you.
Scores to settle. I'm sorry. I'll pass the word along to.
No, right. You weren't there at the time. It's fine. If you could just pass it along to Alfred.
Yeah. I'll see how Alfred's doing these days. Alfred's got his own problems these days.
I heard he's worried.
Did he come? Did he come into the office a lot?
George?
No,
Alfred.
Well, we had him embalmed, so he was always there.
I hope we are getting some fan art of Watto as Alfred E. Newman saying "Watto me worry." I hope we are getting that.
Yes,
we gotta.
If we're not getting that, I don't know what we're doing here if we're not getting that in fan art.
We also need some. Oh God, you Watto.
I believe we did.
Very surprised. We got one.
Hang on, let me get it. Here it is.
We got one.
Yeah, it's a Ricky Barty original. Hang on.
God, you Watto.
This is just Oh God.
Okay, fair enough. We'll round out the trilogy later.
That was quick work.
That is quick work.
Nice.
Now, Jonathan, I don't believe there ever was a Mad Magazine spoof of Radioland Murders.
There was not. You are right. Although, you know what? Maybe here's your chance. A couple of guys, former Mad guys, have their own Kickstarter going for something called Claptrap, where they're going back and doing movies that Mad never got to do.
Oh, cool.
Well, let's get the fellas at Claptrap to take a crack at a spoof of Radioland Murders.
Yeah,
a perfect movie to spoof. What's easier to spoof than a madcap comedy?
Sure.
I I will say,
Brian always make for good spoofs.
There it is.
It's an Indiegogo.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, claptrap that I had said Kickstarter. You're right. It's Indiegogo. See, they're
Indiegogo.
doing Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker because
Whoa,
Matt
what?
didn't get a chance to.
Hardcover,
Shawshank.
$45. That's pretty good.
Where are we at in this fundraiser? Where are they at right now?
Oh,
They're doing pretty well.
They're doing pretty well. They're doing 67,000. They're doing pretty good.
Yep. Tom Richmond, who's sort of the heir to Mort Drucker, and Des Devlin, who's one of Mad's great, parody writers. So,
Didn't Tom Richmond come from Cracked at one point?
Wow, Tom Richmond got his start at Cracked. You're right, and then sort of eventually got the nod to come along to Mad. Very, very good.
Hey, Brian, this book about me is pretty thick, right?
It is. I think it's 587.
Yeah, you worked pretty hard writing a lot of words about my career, right?
Yes, I did. At my dining room table.
What are we looking at right now? What would you say we're looking at?
I can't tell from the bibliography.
No, does this look like a major part of the book? Like if you're just going to read these 2 pages?
Is that 380 and 381, George?
Is that 380 and 381? The Radioland Murders page?
Yeah, it's 2 of the 3 pages about Radioland Murders.
2 of the 3, because the other one talks about
the Universal. Are you saving it for a second book? What's the deal? Do you have a second book that's going to come out that's just about Radioland? Like,
I'm actually hard at work with Nat Geo on the behind-the-scenes Radioland Murders documentary at this moment. I'm sorry, I'm announcing that right now.
Wow.
Maybe it was my fault for getting distracted and moving on to the prequels. But I do feel like we never really got the full experience. We didn't get a DK guide to Radioland Murders. One of those big books. There's so many characters, so many madcap characters and stuff. I mean, we're celebrating the tie between me and David Lynch. David Lynch has more toys for his movies. He's got a toy for Blue Velvet, little ear.
I want the Radioland Murder action figures, actually.
We do too.
You should have a whole Radioland Murders playset. There should have been. So we didn't merchandise that movie properly.
I want the Billy Barty action figure.
Oh, the little George Burns. You can have him do the whole speech if it's the little George Burns action figure.
Yeah.
Do
you remember the first time you saw it, the movie, Brian?
I actually watched it on HBO, was where I had to see it, and now I have it on DVD now, of course, because it was part of my research on you. But I watched it on HBO back in the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. When we got to go through the city like an ILM special effect.
Yeah, you're just waiting for it, anticipating. What was the biggest? What was the part that you thought was funniest?
The credits. No.
Opening or closing?
I wish I just took it down off my upper corner. I can't remember much of it even again, because when I went back and watched it the second time, I was watching it mostly for the CGI, to see what was finished and what wasn't, because again, I just love Mel Smith looking through the lens and not knowing exactly what he was shooting. And I think it's a different experience, even though it was the trial run for CGI that became episode 1. It's a different experience than watching something like Red Tails, where the CGI to me does not look doesn't look complete. At least in this one, I think it's a good start, especially for being as early as it was.
Right, and it's a prequel.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. It is a prequel. You're right, George.
Because it's Brian Ben and Mary Stuart Masterson are the parents of Richard Dreyfuss's character in American Graffiti.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Everybody loves prequels. It's basically, if we want to take it out of the frame of reference of my work, to compare it to, it is basically the Fire Walk with Me of American Graffiti films.
Jonathan, Brian, I want to thank you guys for coming on.
I confess my head is spinning at this point now after that one, but yes.
This is great.
It's super fun having you guys. Thanks for watching.
It's good to see you again, Jonathan.
Oh, wonderful to work with you again, sir. Thank you, and Watto.
Thank you for all of the cereal. I never got a chance to thank you for all the cereal.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I ate all your Hershey's Kisses and Reese's peanut butter cups.
No, it was you were doing me a favor. I can't have those kind of kisses, and I'm not adventurous enough to have any other kind.
Well, I look forward to coming back so we can continue to talk about your lack of imagination there. So.
Do you guys have anything to plug before you leave?
Yeah, anything to promote?
I do not. Nope. I'm always running my mouth on Twitter at Brian J. Jones. Look for me there. Patrick and I have at it every once in a while. We have a good time. Watto, even Watto and I speak every once in a while. So thanks for having me on, Mr. Lucas. Always a pleasure. And Jonathan, nice to meet you.
Nice
what a treat.
Yes,
Lovely to meet you, Jonathan.
Thank you for bringing me back into your universe, sir.
Thank you. Great to see you again.
And everybody, watch the line over here and donate.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you guys.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Now, George, Watto.
Yeah.
I wrapped them up because we have another guest I want to get to.
I knew you had an agenda. I knew it was something you wanted.
Did you?
Yeah.
All great characters have a want.
And this is my want. This is my want. Guys, what movie are we watching right now?
Radioland Murders.
Do you guys like Billy?
Billy Barty?
No, Billy from Radioland Murders.
Everybody loves Billy.
Everybody loves Billy. Guys, please welcome Scott Michael Cale to the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How are you?
Good to see you. I hope I'm not overdressed or underdressed.
No,
you're dressed perfectly.
I've been George. Good to see you, Watto, Patrick.
Hi.
I was learning all kinds of things about the movie before I jumped on. Actually,
yeah. How did your Radioland murder journey start? I can't talk.
Oh boy,
God, it's like even when you hit me up, Patrick, it was so long ago, right? It was
yeah.
We did that fall of '93.
Sure.
Yeah, and it was the first movie I ever did. But like even when you guys were bringing up the fact that it was a prequel and Brian and Mary Stewart's they were parents of Dreyfus. I mean, I heard a lot of the people that were attached to it before George finally decided to do it. I'm sure George could tell you about this.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, it was just going in and meeting Mel mainly, Mel and Fred Roos and Rick McCallum.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I ever met George was on basically one of these type of calls. But back in '93, these calls didn't really exist.
Yeah.
I remember being out in Wilmington and kind of going, oh, what am I looking at? Oh, hi, George. And now, of course, it's,
digital magic. Yeah.
We do them every day.
It's the normal way of living your life.
But it was kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of funny. I was just, going back through today looking at, you kind of look and see where, what a lot of people are doing. And a lot of people that were in that film, unfortunately, passed on since then.
Sure.
So many, like Anita Morris died right at, shortly after we were done shooting. And George is like, George Burns.
Yeah.
He just came out for a day in LA in Universal. They shot all that stuff.
To be fair to George, though, he was.
I don't think he was traveling a lot back then. He was, just to kind of see, because obviously the film didn't do extremely well when it came out.
Sure.
But
not extremely.
He was talking about, that was his big thing. What George Lucas said, he was like, "Look, I've done a lot of things with ILM, and I can bring this budget in pretty cheaper than normal."
Yeah.
And I think he was experimenting with a lot of stuff because he was still getting ready to do all the re-release of all the Star Wars movies, obviously.
Yeah. But this must
we were playing in a digital sandbox back then, basically.
Yeah.
It was playing with our new toys.
Patrick, did you reset the clock? I had trouble with my phone.
I cannot reset my clock once it stops. So we are at 50.
Oh, where are we at?
We're going to be at 54 minutes in a second. Okay. 54. Happy to let people know where we are.
So we're at the Steve Rubel. We just hit the Steve Rubel.
Yeah.
We're going to mute this.
You were the one with Katzenbach when he got crushed into kibble.
Ooh, I'm hearing a good Michael Lerner.
I love Mike.
Yeah, he's great in this. Everyone's great in this. There's so many. This is a wild first movie experience for you. There's so many great people in it.
Well, especially I was obviously, being my first movie, it was so young. But yeah, there's Wait, where did you guys go? I lost you.
Oh, we're here. We still see you.
Here we are.
Oh, okay, there we are. See, I didn't even put my poster up just for this thing. I mean, that's always hanging up in my office because it was the first movie I did. I got a little letter from George, but it's to be on set, like, you know, their first movie and like working with these people that you grew up, especially Harvey Korman or Ned Beatty or I grew up watching all those guys.
Yeah. Wait a second. I need to rewind the tape for a second. You still have this letter from George? Do you remember what he said in it?
Oh, it's right there, Lana.
It's right there on the wall.
Yeah, it was well, it was right shortly, and it's also you kind of start looking back, you know, through time, and I was just realizing today, like after we shot Radioland in the fall of '93, so George was the same age then that I am now.
Wow.
And I saw Leah Thompson was on your show, and I remember meeting Leah really briefly because it was George's 50th birthday party in May of '94.
That's when she touched Harrison Ford's soft hands.
What's that?
She touched Harrison Ford's soft hands at that party.
I think I didn't get to touch Harrison Ford's soft hands. I ended up meeting him from afar, sort of. But it kind of makes you think about things like that. It's even like Elon Musk. I realized the other day, I was like, oh, Elon Musk is a month older than me.
Yeah, he must have real soft
hands. We get older in life. But
Yeah.
Leah was up at the party, and as was basically, you know, everybody that you could imagine. George has worked with everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, nice poster you got back there.
George.
Yeah. Pretty great poster.
It is good. It's George's always his background on every show.
Yeah,
Radioland?
I didn't put this up just for this show. This has been behind me for weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. It's always fun. It's always fun when we meet people that have seen this movie, because a lot of people kind of, I think even what happened, because it only came out in a limited number of theaters, whenever it was, 94.
It went straight to video in England.
Yeah, I saw that.
Didn't even give it
and Mel Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Makes
think
no
Mel
sense.
just on his, you know, on his
pedigree, yeah.
Yeah. And he was such a, you know, talented, funny, like, he was just a genius out there. It sucks that he passed away too.
Yeah.
But I think we called because since it was my first, the first movie I was ever in, we called up, you know, Lucasfilm and talked to Rick McCallum, and they were nice enough to get a print sent up to the local theater up in Montana where I'm from. Yeah. Which was kind of nice.
That's cool.
To do that.
Yeah.
So we got to, so the family and everybody got to see it.
Yeah. Let me I see someone else in the waiting room. I'm gonna bring them in. We have another guest from the movie.
Nice.
You know him in Radioland Murders. I want to get this name right, as Gork, Son of Fire. Please welcome Gary Kroger to the show.
Gary!
Hey,
up, Gary?
Scott, don't even pretend like you remember me, Scott.
I remember Gork, Son of Fire. I had to dress up as you at the end.
Yes, I know. Yeah, but I'm the least memorable character in the whole film.
But Gary,
there's like 712 people in that movie, so I don't think you're the least memorable.
Yeah, but Scott, it was your first film, was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were off the charts funny. You were so connected. I was blown away by you. But everybody was in the film. But look at the names that were in that film.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, it was ridiculous. Literally everybody who works all the time was in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephen Tobolowsky or Jeffrey Tambor's been working since.
Well, yeah, but Stephen Tobolowsky was my neighbor in Sherman Oaks. But Brian Ben I knew. I in fact auditioned for Ben's role in the very beginning.
Okay.
And I auditioned for everybody, and I guess they liked me, but I never ever heard from them again. And then I heard that the film was in production. Well, all right. Then they call me up and say, "Can you be in Wilmington? You know, like tomorrow? We've got a part for you." And that was Gork, Son of Fire. But I got there, and I was dressed in a loincloth and I put a beard on me. Sent to the commissary, but I remember walking by George Lucas, who was shooting second unit. Yeah, well, there you are, George.
Yeah.
You were shooting second unit because, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were behind schedule.
The thing is like that was in because George came out. Obviously, remember there's George. He came out in February, and I think we shot 60 some odd miles of film.
Yeah.
In like the week of reshoots.
Yeah.
And it was the longest day of work I ever did. It was the last day, and they're like, we're shooting and just until we're done.
We had to.
We had 3 units going, and yeah, George was. I remember being back behind. In one of and we were on a continuous bell. So it was like second unit was over here and first unit was over here. And George, I don't know if you remember this, but you grabbed me and you, Scott, come here, just run out of the door. Just run out of the door. Just keep running out of it and doing something. Like just do something funny.
I like stuff that goes fast.
Right. But that's
fast. But every time I went back behind the door to reset, the person standing next to me was Christopher Lloyd because he was shooting on the other side of the wall something different.
Yeah, and he was only there. His deal was we had to get him out quick. We had him for a day.
For a day.
Well, I was only there for a day, and I never knew what I was doing. I had no idea. I didn't know what Gork did, what his function is. I just am thrown in front of a camera and said, read these lines. And I realized, I'm in a radio show, and it must be, in front of a live audience. And then script pages are falling from the ceiling. And I'm reading the murder plot. It's being revealed. And I'm only realizing as an actor, this is my function in this movie because I didn't remember the role. But you were in such a hurry. It was like, Kroger, go do this. Read these lines. You're a caveman. Thank you very much. Your check is in the mail. I left the next day. And,
So, Gary, this begs a very important question, which is, what do you think happened to Gork after the events of Radioland Murders?
I'm guessing that Gork went on to become a television star as well as radio transitioned into television. I think that Gork was an early, late 50s,
along with Bob Hope and
exactly. Texaco Star Theater. Gork was on ABC. You turn the antenna, you'd pick it up. I think Gork had a good life until about Gilligan's Island.
Right.
And then it was just too high concept for a caveman. And then I sort of faded out of the scene.
I could see that. I think right after Gilligan's Island, they started paying residuals on things too. So Gork just missed that sweet spot.
Gork died in the old actors' home along with the Three Stooges.
God bless him.
His legend lives on. I think they just named Baby Yoda after him. I think that on The Mandalorian, I'm pretty sure his name is like Gorku or something.
Well, is that why everybody's? I read just a headline that everybody's upset that what Baby Yoda's name is.
Yeah, it's a clear Radioland Murders homage, and I think people should realize that.
Well, you got to figure that all of these characters were in the mind of George Lucas. So somewhere he probably typed Gork on a typewriter. So it's in his consciousness. Yes, I'm sure there's a Gork Yoda, Endor connection here. Yeah. George.
Yeah, we're typing in Grogu, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Gorku, son of Yoda.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, did you have fun going fast like that, Gary? Did you like the pace of that? Did you like the bewildered feeling of it's just happening so quickly?
Yes and no. I mean, I would have liked to have stayed there longer. I mean, I remember having dinner. Scott was over here. Mary was over here. Michael McCain was sitting here. We had a nice talk, Tobolowsky, and then everybody's back to work. It's a chase. Scott is constantly running through a door, falling down, this, that, and the other. I would have liked to have connected there for a few days and realized what I was doing, but it was frenetic. Now, it was I think it's a wonderful movie. I think it's actually better today than it played back then because it didn't do great box office. I think it was just too frenetic. Ebert gave it a lame review saying it was just too fast paced. It's slapstick, folks. It was really an homage to radio. And it was crazy slapstick, and it was directed that way. And I think it's a wonderful film. And again, Scott, I'm kissing your ass, but you were fantastic in it.
Thanks, Gary. Well, and it's also like, it was a kind of a thing that George, you had it for 20 years or 15, 18 years before.
Yeah. And Scott, you were like 9.
I was 9 years old. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You were a kid. I was
youngin'.
You were a youngin'. I was old back then.
But Well, now look at us. Well, we're still alive and kicking, thank God.
Yeah. I think you both look terrific. How are you holding
Put us
up
in your next film?
Well, I'm retired, so you can come to my museum in a year. Now, how are you holding up? How has your 2020 been in terms of? Are you holding up? We're all trying to get through all of this.
It sucks. Completely
Yeah,
sucks. I can't go out to dinner. Seriously,
Are you in Los Angeles or Southern?
I left Los Angeles 17 years ago. I live in the Midwest where I grew up. I left show business. Gork wasn't the end of my show business career, but 10 years after Gork, I left. I just got tired of chasing sitcoms so that my kids could, go to the dentist.
Yeah, it's happened. There's another whole exodus going on right now. I have a lot of. There's obviously, a lot of people are moving to Atlanta and Tennessee.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second, guys. We'll get back to this. I just have to, because Patrick disappeared and now he's laughing to himself. I'm trying to figure out what went wrong.
My Wi-Fi died. I'm very sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know you were married.
Yep. Sorry. I'm sorry I missed stuff. Continue talking. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, we're just talking about how it sucks, this COVID. Now, look, I'm doing air traffic control now. Look at me. I have headphones. I'm a regular podcaster now. I'm doing that cliche.
Your audio sounds great.
Thank you. Yeah, look at this. Damn. Look.
Yeah. The audience is listening. It sounds great.
Now, Gary, my question, I believe it got cut off. I'm not sure. What do you think happened to Gork Son of Fire after the events of Radioland Murders?
Well, you did ask that question.
Yeah, I didn't hear the answer.
And then you left. And then it wasn't that good an answer.
It was,
but
we loved it.
I thought it was a great answer, Gary.
Well, I'll say this: mid me asking it, everyone froze, so I didn't know if any of it got out.
Okay, but let me put it this way. Now, here's a serious anscer.
Yeah. Okay.
Since you're going to give Gork the attention he doesn't deserve.
Yes.
Gork was clearly a popular radio figure in this movie.
Yeah.
Gork was a big act.
Yeah,
so I see no reason to believe that Gork didn't go on to do, Car 54, Where Are You, opposite or something like that. I think Gork went on to a reasonable television career until about 1963.
Sure.
There might have been the Gork Show.
I'm sure it was the Gork Show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the other question is what happened to Billy? Because I feel like Billy might have had a very robust career, or he got scared because so many people got murdered around him and he left the.
I think he embraced the murders. I think he always had high aspirations, and obviously
yeah.
Well, you were talking about American Graffiti, and and Mary Stewart and Brian's character were supposed to be Dreyfuss's parents, but God, I'm trying to even remember if I had seen American Graffiti at that age. But Candy Clark and Bo Hopkins.
Candy Clark was in it. Yeah.
Who
wasn't in it? Yeah. George Burns was in it.
Yeah.
He was dead by the time I got to the set, but still, he was in it.
No, I think we shot that back in L.A. afterwards.
Well, you did come back to L.A. to do some pickup scenes, I believe, even after Wilmington finished.
I was there down at Universal just for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Joey Lawrence was in there for a second, and
everybody was in there.
I ran into a little, became a great director.
And then even like Bobcat Goldthwait's on screen right now, and Peter McNichol. Like, there's so many. Yeah.
Yeah, Goldthwait. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think there's a good chance that Billy, after Radioland, because Radioland Murders is set in 1939, don't you think there's a good chance that Billy fought in the war?
Billy's dead.
Billy's dead.
That might have been his.
Billy is in the first scene of Saving Private Ryan by my buddy Steve.
Billy
He
died alongside the Beaver.
God, that's so. I hope that's not what happened to Billy.
You hope he was 4F?
He didn't die down on the beach.
But let's say flat feet. Scott, this is your chance to make an official declaration of what you want, and it will go on the IMDb page for the movie. So,
of what happened to Billy afterwards?
Yeah.
What happened to Billy? Did Billy run to Canada?
If he was part of D-Day, I'm sure he was probably front and center.
Yeah.
I think he was one of the first guys on the beach.
And and I think Billy's a lucky guy, though. I think he makes it through. You know what I mean? I think he's one of those guys when there's chaos around him, we see him. Yeah. He's fast and he's wily. He's able to Obviously, there's a lot of slapstick, but he makes it through.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when Brian, is obviously falsely accused or thought of to be, at the center of all these murders, it's, Billy's the one guy that he can, depend on.
Yeah.
Patrick can't stop laughing, though. I'm realizing this is a dream movie for Patrick because it's a comedy about death. He finds nothing funnier. Gary, I have to ask you, because sometimes we have to engage in a little bit of hard-hitting journalism here on this show. When we have such illustrious guests on, we like to do a little bit of fact-checking on some rumor control. Okay? You, of course, famously were a cast member on Saturday Night Live for 3 years.
Yes, 3 years.
82 to 85. You played Walter Mondale. You did Donnie Marie Osmond.
Don't pretend like you remember this. You Googled me.
That is not true. That is not true. The Blue Christmas sketch.
Gary, I'll say this. If anyone will remember the intricacies of the SNL cast, it's George Lucas, Watto, and Patrick.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
I'll have you know for a fact, Patrick Cotner, producer of this show, notably, has seen every single episode of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You told me that. You introduced yourself saying that.
I did. I said, "Nice to meet you." I've seen
you've seen every episode, right?
So we're not blowing smoke up your ass.
Okay,
This is true. This is true respect. You are a great cast member. Okay. But I must add, that's not in debate. There's no fact checking there. You are a great cast member.
Okay.
But confirm or deny, I have heard tell that sometimes at Saturday Night Live, the show didn't go on because it was ready. It went on because it was 11:30 on Saturday night.
I did 70 shows. That would be true of 68 of them. Yeah, the show was never ready. The show was never. Here's what you did. You do a show. You do a dress rehearsal show that's always a half hour long because you want to cut out, the things that sort of sucked. Which generally, and these aren't sour grapes. Those are generally my sketches. They were always in the half hour that were cut, right? But then you're trying to fix the show and make it an hour. You probably only blocked some of it that day.
Yeah.
And so, it's always pretty much, it's like going to Mars and you open your mission statement and everybody has a different mission. And somehow you want to get home safely, by 1 o'clock.
Yeah. But 2 times it was ready. That's pretty impressive. 2 times the show was ready.
I'm just playing the odds with that. I have no idea. I don't ever remember feeling like, let's go. We got this down. But that's the fun of the show too. It is spontaneous. There's cue cards for those who needed them. Not I.
Not you.
But there were cue cards, to kind of keep you on track. But for the most part, no, it's live television.
You would try to be off book for SNL.
I always try to be off book.
Right.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think I ever cheated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you think that's interesting. You think that using the cue cards is cheating?
It is cheating. It is cheating.
That is a big accusation. I think we're making news here.
George, I want to get Gary clean saying this. I want you to say, "I'm Gary Kroger, and if you use cue cards, you're cheating."
I'm Gary Kroger, and if you use cue cards, you're cheating. You're cheating. It's not that hard to memorize a few lines. It's just not that hard.
Right.
Especially since no one's holding you to those lines. Make something up. Stay in the scene. Scott, am I right? Stay in the scene.
I've never done live television. I've done theater, but unless they give it to you, 12 seconds before,
Scott,
do everything in your power to get it, to have it down.
I mean, you've never done live television, but you did a death-stricken radio show.
True.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, I think it's, live television probably much, because, you
Scott,
hear the story about Saturday Night Live about how it's just, nonstop and just on the fly. And,
it is. Scott, when you do theater,
you have it down. It makes it so much easier. Because if you have it down, then you can obviously, come up with some really cool stuff within that construct. If you're looking.
I always felt that it was my job because I wasn't one of the stars of the show, obviously. So I figured whenever I had an opportunity, it was my job to actually know my lines. It was my job to focus on the characters and the thread where the jokes are going. And so, look, I look back at some of that stuff, honestly, and I cringe. I'm so bad sometimes seriously, I'm just there's things that I've done that I look at and I go, why was that my choice?
Yeah, yeah.
But there's also
Gary,
sprinkled in there some stuff that's pretty good.
Yeah,
some good
So Gary, just to delve deeper into your process, into what is out of bounds
into
for you,
my prostate, my prostate.
Yes, into your
We'll
prostate.
get there. We'll get there.
When you were playing, when you're doing Radioland Murders and you're playing Gork, a character who is receiving the pages are falling down. He's receiving them at the last minute. Are you off book for that while playing?
Clever, George. Clever. Clever. But you see, in the context of Radioland Murders, I was not supposed to know my lines.
Right.
I was supposed to be reading them. And honestly, we're jogging memory back, 18 years or more or something like that?
More than that.
A long time, right? 93?
Yeah.
17 years. I don't remember knowing my
I think
lines.
it's 27 years.
27 years?
Yeah, 27 years.
You're right.
You lost a decade there.
Oh my
You got rid of a whole decade.
So I don't remember knowing my lines. I remember being told you're going to read the pages that we hand you. So I was sort of surprised. And I remember thinking, I'll get another take. Nope.
Right.
Cut, print, moved on.
No. You know what? Put it just me and Gary on the screen once you've shown whatever you're showing here. Just so I can say this to him. Cheaters don't get another take.
That's right. Cheater. Well,
right. Cheaters don't get another because we asked you to cheat and you did it because were you being method?
I was being method. I was being in the moment. I was doing.
You were being in the moment. You're being method. Interesting. So we found the line. We found where the line is for you, Gary.
That's right. If it works, if it's germane to the plot, I will cheat.
Yeah, you'll be a little cheater.
Yeah, there you go. I think you caught me. But at the same time, I really don't remember much. I may have known my lines completely. I might have been getting the menu, and I still said my lines. I don't remember.
Right, you might have been so deep in character that you don't remember that you prepared for it.
I do remember that the fur that I wore itched.
Okay.
I had a little rash. Yeah.
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 Now, Scott, when you did live theater, did you ever cheat? Did you ever use cue cards while you're doing live theater?
No.
Not a cheater.
Yeah. No.
You're very proud. You have a very proud expression. You look like you're very proud to declare that you're not a cheater.
It's like any job. You just have a couple things you're supposed to do, and that's one of them. It's like know it when you show up. It makes it so much easier for everyone else you're working with.
Right.
And especially now. I mean, back then, it was obviously before digital, and you're shooting on film, and it gets expensive if you don't have your act together and you have to do 900 takes. It's not everything can't be a Kubrick film, for God's sake, but it's you just and especially now we're just on a breakneck speed with the way that things are shot nowadays, that it's you got to be on point, because if you burn another 2-3 hours, it screws the entire show or film or production or whatever.
Yeah.
It ain't that hard. I mean, some people are better at learning things, and but sometimes you have to basically be verbatim. You do a production, and they want every syllable to be that specific way. Whereas I think on Radioland we had a little bit of freedom, mainly because of Mel, and then also because it was so broad and chaotic and nutty, I mean, I think a lot of those things that Christopher Lloyd came up with, I mean, that was just kind of doing.
Well, I'm going to come clean. I'm using cue cards now.
Gary.
Yeah. Mel was brilliant, and I was a big fan of his previous to this, just his work. And again, I loved the slapstick is an overused word. It was broad comedy, but everybody was such a great comedian. Scott, how old were you? How young were you?
93. I was 21 probably.
Yeah.
Maybe 22. I might have been 22.
I'm about 10 years older than you. I don't know. I don't do math.
Yeah.
Well, we were just talking before you got on. I don't know if you were in the wings, Gary, but like George, when we shot Radioland, he was the same age then as I am now.
His beard was black still.
That's right.
I'm not sure if it was or not. I think
I
long
think
has
it
your
was
beard
still.
been,
My hair
it's
was
always been
black,
peppered a
but
little
it's
bit.
a little bit peppery by then. Yeah.
Well, you were kind of like me, although see, I cheat a little bit. I have a little bit of I call it just for Gary that I put in right here. You know,
I even got it coming in.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
especially like all those comedians. Michael McKean is just, I mean, he's so talented.
Oh my
I mean,
God, he gets
All
more
those guys.
talented. That's the
All
thing
those
about McKean. He gets more talented. The stuff that he's doing now is there. You go.
There you go. Yeah. So
that's who
yeah,
it
would
was.
have been black
That-
back then.
Yep.
That's
Black
nice.
mustache.
There's George in '93.
Yep.
Yeah. Our
The
thanks to
beard's
the
always
folks
been a little gray.
Yeah.
Our thanks to the folks at Alamy for providing that photo for us.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
George, do you mind if I go to one of our recurring segments on the show?
Not at all.
Well, it depends which one it is.
Scott, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about working on Burn Notice.
Burn Notice.
Yeah, what was it like on the BN?
On the Burn Notice. I just did one episode of that down in Miami.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm trying to think of when that was.
Would have been 2007 is when the episode came out. So
Okay, so it was 6 or 7, so that's 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember an election was happening back then. It was who was it?
It would have been Obama, right?
It was when Gore was running against Bush. So that would have been
2000.
No,
2000.
This is 2007.
2006. Yeah.
I have no concept of time. That's the only time I'm going to cheat. Then it's basically I just need a calendar. I don't need my lines or anything.
Right.
I just
Welcome
need
to my
a
world.
calendar.
Right.
Maybe an abacus.
Right.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked being down in Miami, and I liked. I remember loving the director and the writers, but I can't remember what I did on that show.
Okay.
Did you like the nightlife?
Was I a killer?
I'll tell you. Let's see. You were a man.
I don't think I was a killer.
You were a man named Jake Miller. Michael takes on an arms dealer for an airport worker while Nate obsesses about her car and their dad's will.
You were a Miller, not a killer.
Yeah, I think I was a good guy in that one.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Gary can maybe attest to this. Like you go through periods where, like especially early on, I think I played a lot of, Billy Budget was one of the first ones, but I played it like 5 years, every 5 to 7 years. I played a lot of bellhops and priests. In those years. And then there would be another section where I played a lot of drug addicts, alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a big period where I played like the scorned husband or the guy that gets caught up in arms dealers. And
see, I wanted those roles, but I've always been the affable guy who turns into a dog when you read the Borgia Ring. I've always been the friendly dad, the sort of Fred McMurray meets Jack Lemmon sort of person.
Yeah,
I never got the real color of being a drug dealer. The gravitas, the dimension of being a ne'er-do-well.
So Gary,
I think you have a longer career with that, though, Gary. I remember I did a show called Drop Dead Diva where me and my wife and we were in a custody battle for a pet chimpanzee that we had adopted.
Well, there you go.
I'm sure you've all seen it, obviously.
But hang on, Gary, I'm looking at a man named Freddie Bauer. Do you remember Freddie Bauer?
Of course I remember Freddie Bauer. I'm going to give you a little bit of murder mystery trivia right here. I believe I am the only person in the murder mystery world. Now that's Columbo, Murder, She Wrote, and maybe you put Matlock in there. I have been murdered. I have been accused of the murder, and I solved the murder. I believe that is trivia that only I can... I can't think of any other actor who's been all three of those things.
Yeah.
All three of the necessary ingredients of a murder mystery. Someone has to die, someone is accused, and someone solves it.
You ever play a witness to a murder?
Not yet.
No.
We got to get that going.
Yeah.
We got to make that happen.
Freddie Bauer was fun because that was Columbo, and I was this young photographer divorcing his wife, and we're having this contentious fight, the wonderful Jamie Rose. And while she's in the kitchen bitching at me, I'm watching the lottery, and I realize that I just won $30 million.
Yeah.
Which back in those days, $30 million was like $300 million, but $30 million was a lot of money. So I kept it to myself, and I told my uncle, played by Rip Torn, we're going to go back to method acting here.
Pretty good.
And I told and he said, Freddie, I will take the ticket, pretend like I won, buy me a watch, and I'll give all the money back to you. Right? Turns out that Rip Torn is having an affair with my wife. So he drowns me in my swimming pool and takes the ticket as if he won the whole time.
Rip Torn drowns you?
Rip Torn. Now, here's the scary thing. Rip Torn will drown you. Rip Torn will drown you. I had to have a signal to the second AD. If my toe starts to wiggle, he has his hand on my throat underwater too long, and I can't, and I need air, because he terrified me. He was such a method actor that if he's going to kill somebody in a tub, he will kill them until somebody pulls him off of him. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's my little bit of Freddie
Gary,
Bauer trivia.
Gary, have you watched the footage of Rip Torn with Norman Mailer?
No, I haven't. But perhaps I would be witness to a murder if I did.
Where he attacks him with the hammer.
Well,
it's pretty crazy.
Does he really do it?
Yeah.
He really does it.
Really
yeah, everyone's freaking out.
It's BTS footage. It's not from the movie.
No, well, I'm going to YouTube that right away.
I'm a huge, and bring it back to Radioland Murders, obviously. I think right after we shot Radioland Murders, it was Jeffrey Tambor started doing Larry Sanders Show.
Larry Sanders, right.
Which is I still think one of the best shows that's ever been.
I think Larry Sanders... Larry Sanders set the bar, which now HBO now is the maker of great TV and Netflix and Prime, et cetera, et cetera. It all started with Larry Sanders. That's when we all went, hey, you don't have to be in the big three. Mm-hmm. That's where really good television is happening now. And everybody wanted to do it. It was Larry Sanders. That is ground zero, in my opinion.
And also, I mean, you want to talk about method acting. People don't know that. But to play Artie on the Larry Sanders Show, Rip Torn spent 30 years producing a late night talk show. That's how method the guy was. He put in 3 decades before doing that show.
There you go.
I'm seeing Gork on TV right now.
This is Gork time. Yeah.
There he is. It's the big Billy and Gork scene on stage.
Are we there right now? Oh, God.
Yeah. That's okay. We're at 1:26:55.
I've got 4 more minutes of screen time.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, now I'm here. Okay.
Yeah. 1:27:07 is where we're at.
You know who I wanted to mention? Dylan Baker. Dylan Baker's not one of those names that people go Dylan Baker, but once you see his face, you go, "Oh my God, he is in literally everything." Yeah. And I met him on that film, and Harvey Korman was in it.
He was
Bo Hopkins, Robert Klein.
When you guys were filming, did you guys film the scenes on the stage with a full audience? I mean, obviously not every shot, but like, were you in there with a full audience in there?
Yeah. Oh. They were extras that sat there for a long time, as I recall.
Yeah.
Not all extras, but a lot of extras in there. I remember, forgive me, a lot of pretty girls. I was a single man then, and I just remember a lot of pretty girls.
Yeah.
That's really the end of my story there. I have nowhere to go with it. But
Gary, I feel like a lot of people, correct me if I'm wrong, probably ask you who was the best and worst person to work with on SNL.
You have to ask who's the worst host. That's the
not what I'm going to ask.
I'm going to ask it. Get ready, but Pat, go ahead with your question.
Was there anyone who was just right down the middle? You're like, yeah, they were good. They were pretty good.
You mean cast members or guest hosts?
I'll let you answer it however you want to answer it.
Well, you know, the cast members were all terrific. I loved Joe Piscopo because he was the hardest working person there. He put the time into everything that he did. Eddie Murphy became a superstar as soon as I got there, and I couldn't get close to him. Nobody could. He would come on stage and the scene would stop and everybody would clap, you know, and just gasp because it's Eddie Murphy.
Were you there when he hosted?
Yeah, I was there when he hosted too. Yeah. But people like Tim Kazurinsky, Mary Gross, and of course Brad Hall, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, they are real team players, and we were all a real family. Jim Belushi, he won't get mad at me if I say this. He was an asshole. I don't think he is anymore. In fact, he's come up to me and he's very friendly. He said, "Sorry, I was such an asshole back then." But he was there for his career. He was in his brother's shadow and he hated it, so he was kind of difficult. In terms of guest hosts, Howard Hessman was a dream. Robert Blake was another asshole.
What about Ed Koch? How was Koch?
Koch was great because he knew he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, he was just Ed Koch, but he was wonderful and friendly and kind and generous. Christopher Reeve was a marvelous guy. Jerry Lewis was kind of an ass. Sid Caesar was an ass. And that's not fair to call somebody an ass, but they weren't friendly. They weren't giving. They weren't, they were about themselves.
Yeah. And I also,
Gary, you mentioned Howard Hessman right off the bat. And I was coincidentally going down an SNL rabbit hole on YouTube recently. And up in the algorithm came a sketch that's a two-hander between you and Hessman that I think is really great. Do you remember this sketch where you come out of the closet
to
Hessman as your father with the reveal that you're straight? And he has this emotional breakdown over what did I do wrong?
Right. I should have bathed you more when you were a baby.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But I think you hear the pitch for that sketch, right, in the early 80s at like the beginning of the AIDS crisis, and you go, oh no, how's that gonna age? I think that's an incredibly progressive sketch. I think that is a really strong sketch.
Watto, I want to add that because it wasn't about making fun of homosexuality. It was not making fun of it. It was the opposite. The point was to show everybody why make people uncomfortable for being who they are. Now, it was comedy, so I go home to my dad and I have something to tell him. The audience is tense. They're not laughing. They're like, oh my God, we're watching a dramatic series. This guy's going to say he's gay and his father's going to freak out. And I say to my dad, Dad, I am a heterosexual. And you see his face turn white. He goes, Dad, I like girls. I like girls. And then you realize in that moment that Howard Hessman is a gay father and he's thought he had raised a gay son. And the audience starts to laugh. But I think it made the point that it's very uncomfortable to have these stereotypes and to force other human beings into fitting into your stereotype.
Yeah.
You know,
especially like in the early 80s, you don't have a lot of comedy that is attacking homophobia. So much of the comedy of the early 80s, if you rewatch it now, collar tug, oh, this is not very, generous to our queer brethren. But I think that's a sketch that has the right stance. And a lot of it is, as you said, that you and Hessman play it very straight.
Totally straight. It's a piece of dramatic.
Scene. Yes.
No cue cards. No cue cards. And here's the thing. I wrote it where Howard Hessman was straight. And he was.
Did you write this sketch?
Yes. Well, I developed it in improv with.
I had no idea.
And and so it was written as if the parents, it was a father and mother, they were straight and they wanted to be so progressive that they would have a gay son. And then they were disappointed. But Howard said, no, I want to play this as your father. And he came to the realization that it's more impactful if you then realize that he is gay. And he was right. I don't want to make too much out of a silly comedy sketch, but you noticed it, and thank you. And that's why he was so terrific.
Yeah, no, great host.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is a good host. I think he hosted, I'm looking it up now, I believe it was like 3 or 4 times, which is pretty good. Yeah. I mean, we're wrapping up in this movie. It's almost done.
Yeah, I think
Hey, no,
it's fun, Scott.
It is a fun movie. When I first saw it, it was I thought it was a bit frenetic.
Yeah,
I did. And then I watched it years later, and I enjoyed it. I watched it again a couple weeks ago. I really like it.
Yeah,
I mean, I genuinely like it.
I think it's really fun, and I think if it had come out, maybe not today, but maybe today, I don't know. I think it would have done better. I don't know what it was that it just didn't catch that at the time. But I think I'm seeing a lot of people in the comments who are like, this movie's really funny. I really like it. And I wish it was streaming somewhere or available, more widely.
You can, it used to be really tricky to find, but it is interesting reading like some of the things like even on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. And once in a while I just worked with a young actor who's from Wilmington, who I think was a background actor on the film. And I think we're about to get ready to hit Gork. But he brought it up to me because he was like, I really like that movie. And even reading some of the comments online, people were like, I don't know why this thing got panned so bad.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
So often in movies like that, when it comes out at a different time, then maybe it would have been.
I think at the time it was the connection to you, George.
There we go. We
And,
got
and
Gary
to
and
Mel.
Scott.
The expectation was very high that it was going to be either a fantastic thriller or of a Star Wars escapist genre in a way. And people didn't let it be what it was.
And
which was
the
just a fun.
expectation, right?
Yeah.
People thought, oh, there are going to be sequels. There's going to be merchandise. It was saddled with all of those expectations.
Right. I'll bet you anything. If Disney were to make a few more Radioland Murders movies, then people would start getting angry at those, and then they'd say they need to go back to the original. And that's the way. That's the way you boost the original. Is
Right.
You can infuriate a certain generation of people with these new Radioland Murders movies, and that's how you really. That's how you get them to appreciate the old stuff.
George, look at this 2-shot right here. We got a great Scott Campbell, Gary Kroger 2-shot going on.
That's a 2-shot.
That's a 2-shot.
There it is.
I was in pretty good shape back then. I don't know if you can tell inside
I
the
wasn't.
fur, but I was in good shape.
Scott, did you just say you weren't?
No, I
I
was.
definitely wasn't. No, I was. I remember getting out there because I was doing a television show at the same time in Eastern Tennessee, so I had to fly back and forth once or twice. But I remember being in Wrightsville Beach, and I'd never been to North Carolina, but it was just. I love North Carolina.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I mean, that part, I'd never been to even that part of the country before, and I just fell in love with it. And yeah, I just remember being down at in Wrightsville Beach, and I was pounding Mountain Dew like every single night, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't sleep. This is how young I was.
Yeah.
So why can't I sleep? I'm nervous about going to work or something, and then it turns out, oh, you can't
You were
drink
doing
6
the
liters
Dew.
of Mountain Dew. And
Don't tell
Is that your
Kimmy,
favorite
Robert.
soda? Is that your favorite soda, Scott?
Oh, this is
it was back then.
It's a good recurring segment we've been having. What's your guys' favorite sodas?
I liked Diet Coke until I realized that corrodes your liver even faster than regular Coke. But
Yeah,
regular
I was on
Coke is
Diet
too
Coke for a
syrupy
while.
for me. It's too syrupy. Regular Coke, regular.
What do you think about
Pepsi.
Coke Zero? Will you try Coke Zero?
I don't fall for gimmicky things like that.
You think that's a gimmick or not?
No.
I think it's a trick, not a gimmick. They're tricking
You think it's a trick, not a gimmick? I think it's
I think
falderall.
there's something wrong with it, right? There's something that kills you with it, right?
There's what's the zero? Calories? Caffeine?
No,
What's the zero?
It's nothing. It's no
Flavor?
sugar, nothing bad for you.
Okay.
It's just a Coke you can drink
Air.
with no consequences.
Air in a can.
No, it'll feel like you're drinking a Coke, but no consequences.
Okay.
And there's no downside. There's no part of you that will regret the.
You don't need a Quaalude later?
Now, let's make it clear. There are no consequences to the person drinking the Coke. But in the formula of Coke Zero, it is written that every time you drink a can, somewhere a random person on the planet will die.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is the recipe. And
Right.
you don't know who they are.
That's
It's
the
probably
gimmick.
someone you've
That's-
never met. But every time you crack open a can, one person.
Yeah. I don't think that would. I do not think that would hurt sales of Coke Zero.
Not at all.
I think they
They
would
might
go
go
up.
up. They would
Scott,
increase.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from Project Alf?
Yeah.
Talk to us
Yes,
about
I do. Another film that I definitely wasn't in good shape for. I remember Project Alf quite well, actually.
Yeah. How was it? How was it working? What was it like working with Alf?
Alf was great. I mean, I really remember working with Martin Sheen a lot. It was, I loved working with Martin Sheen. He was so accessible, and you kind of, after working with him for a while, I got to ask him some questions because he shared some really, really great stories. I liked that. But that's a perfect example, like Project Alf, and it was before Martin went and did West Wing.
Yeah.
Ray Walston was in that.
I mean, there's a lot. I'm looking at it right now. It's like Miguel Ferrer's in it. You're in it.
Miguel Ferrer, all these brilliant actors, and it's like
Radioland Murders co-star Gary Anthony. Or no, that's Gregory Anthony Williams. Sorry, I read it wrong.
I can't believe you made that mistake.
But there's so many people in this. It's a good cast.
And it was so funny. I remember because I did West Wing a couple years later, and I was on set with my one scene was with basically all the people on West Wing, and it was a very popular show, and it was Aaron Sorkin and John Wells, and it was just so intelligent. And Martin remembered me, and he brought up Project Alf, and everybody kind of was like, "What did you do?" Project Alf. He goes, "Yeah, me and Scott were doing with the little alien guy. Yeah, we did that." But it was, I grew up watching my favorite Martian with Ray Walston.
Gordon Shumway, please. Gordon Shumway. Put some respect on that name. Gordon Shumway.
That's Alf's real name, Scott, is Gordon Shumway.
Oh, okay. I apologize.
Yeah.
You don't need to apologize. We just want to make sure it's on the record.
Yeah, you don't need to apologize to us. Apologize to Gordon.
I'll apologize to Gordon. I thought that was going to be I thought they were going to do tons of Alf movies. Didn't he live through that one, didn't he?
It was like, that was sort of like, that was an attempted reboot, right? For people who don't know, it was like a TV movie of Alf in like a more serious patina being chased down by the government. And then the hope was that it would revive a sort of new era of Alf.
Well, then you go back to Walter. You go back to that whole thing about timing. Like right now, how we look at so many reboots with so many different shows. If Project Alf came out today, there's a really good possibility that it would wind up somewhere, right?
If Project Alf were made today, it would cost $200 million. It would not be a TV movie. It would be the cornerstone of a company's plan for the entire year.
Yeah, and they might CGI Alf, and I don't know. I think it would lose a little bit of its charm.
I think after the theatrical film version of Cats, I think there's it may be the perfect time to release an Alf movie, and they can cross over. He can eat all of them.
That's
I
think that's.
I'd
See,
go.
that's why you are who you are, George.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you build a universe.
You're thinking outside the box.
That's how you build a universe.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good connect.
What happens to
really
Patrick periodically?
This
another
is great.
life?
No, he loves two things.
Very generous of you to say periodically, Gary.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, right. All the time.
Patrick loves eating snacks and taking naps. And anytime he's not on the screen, we are convinced that he is going, grabbing a handful of snacks and taking a nap. And he's done it before. He sometimes has left the show for upwards of 2 or more hours.
It is truly worse because I haven't eaten dinner yet. I definitely
I knew it was one or the other. I knew it was one or the other.
Boy.
Can I see this meal?
Yeah, sure. I ordered
You
it.
won't be alive by the end of it. Oh my God. I mean, it looks delicious, but
Ladies
I'm
and
doing the
gentlemen, we have
Noom
found the
diet
murder
now.
weapon.
That's
You're
2,500
Nooming?
calories. I'm
You're
Nooming. That's
Nooming.
2,500 calories right there.
Gary, I'm doing a show right now for charity, and I'm trying to stay on camera the whole time. I don't have time to cook a meal, Gary.
Okay.
Patrick, I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah. I'm
How
also
many?
very diabetic, so that's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Vado.
How many, Patrick?
How many what?
Sheep.
What, Vado?
Well, when you stepped away from camera, I assume you were counting some sheep, right? Taking a little nap. How many
how
were
many
there? What's the current tally?
No, I only got the food.
No winks? You didn't sneak a couple of winks in there?
Oh my gosh, guys, we're on the credits.
Oh,
I know. I remember the film being longer than that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is what I want to know. Brian James, of course.
Are you looking
Larry
at names?
Miller, Rosemary Clooney,
Yeah.
Robert Walden,
It's wild.
Tracy Bird. That's right. Jennifer Dundas.
Jennifer Dundas, friend of the show. She came, did the live stage version of George Lucas Talk Show, gave out
Oh,
ice
did
cream
she?
to the entire audience.
I have something to show.
What?
Yeah, let's show the
I
little
have a video that I forgot to show. Let me show it.
What?
Michael Lerner. Did you mention Michael Lerner?
Michael Lerner, one of the
the
best.
great Michael Lerner. Yeah.
So
Let
good.
me show this video we got from Leanne Lord, who's in the movie. Hang on one second.
Hi, my name is Leanne Lord, and I played the role of Morgana in Radioland Murders. It was my first feature film, and we shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, Wilmywood. And at the time we were there, we shot right across from Matlock, which tickled my mother no end. I have a lot of fun memories from the film. Like, first of all, I rated a trailer it's always nice. But I was never in it. I would wander around. I was just so excited to be there. I would go and watch, other scenes being shot. I would talk to, the tech crew and the property master. I just sort of pop up like, hi, what's your name? What do you do? Interesting. I had no idea that I wasn't really supposed to be doing that. But I guess I just seemed so sincere that the guys indulged me and they would explain stuff to me, and they were very kind. And I'm grateful for that. Eventually a PA would come and wrangle me and carry me off to where I was supposed to be, which was sitting around and waiting, which gave me the opportunity to talk to and get to know the legendary Harvey Korman. Oh my gosh. I loved him, of course, from the Carol Burnett show. And I also kind of have a soft spot for cranky old guys. And cranky. So much complaining. But it was fun listening to him, tell these stories, about him and the business and how he knew it was over when his agent called and asked him to do Herbie the Love Bug. He's like, that was the beginning of the end. Why did I answer the phone? What? So, man, it was just all one big cool experience for me. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it. And hell, I still get a residual check. What's not to love about that?
There you go. One of the best.
That was awesome.
Yeah, she got a trailer. She got a
media.
trailer. I got a folding chair.
How was it? How was your chair, Gary?
Not that good. It's one of those plastic ones with it's sort of contoured for the ass, just slightly. Yeah.
We used to call you Chair. We used to call you Cherry Gary.
Gary. Yeah.
Because we were like, that's the guy we just gave a folding chair to.
No, I remember her. She was terrific.
She's a great actress.
As friendly as she
She's a friend of the show. She appeared on the live stage show. Patrick, I am trying so hard to keep zen. But you're telling me that you were so busy snacking and napping that you almost forgot to play that video? I am trying my hardest to stay zen. But as the producer of the show, we were sitting on that quality tape this entire time.
I'd argue we have had a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't want to interrupt until we got to the credits.
The snacks and naps going
on. Scott and Gary, did you? I know you've got your poster and your letter back there, Scott. But did you either of you get any? Did you take anything from Radioland Murders? Did you manage to steal any little treasures or souvenirs, or was everything so digital that there was nothing really to take?
I have some good. I mean, I do have some good pictures. I do have a jacket, and it's kind of like a sort of a bomber's jacket. I was looking for it. I wondered where it was. I remember I got a shirt, but when I was, I mean, like I was saying, this was so long ago, and I had just started working. I was trying to put like a demo reel together. You couldn't get things out. The internet didn't exist, so I went up to Skywalker Ranch once or twice before George's birthday, and he's like, "Yeah, come on up." And he said, I sat down with Mel and the editor, who I ran into just a couple of years ago at the gym, and they were nice enough to like cut some things together, and which was and so I still have these older tapes, like 1/2-inch tapes and
three-quarter tapes,
that are like. Well, what I was looking for before we got on tonight, because I remember that I have the CD somewhere. We obviously don't use CDs very much, but I love the soundtrack of Radioland Murders.
No, it's great. Yeah.
I loved all the jingles and there were the tie-ins from vignettes and stuff.
Yeah,
the pork and beans song and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Gary, did you get
I kept my Gork script pages for a few years. I kept them thinking, but I don't have them anymore. But hang on, I do keep things. This is unrelated.
Hey.
But this is better. This is better than saving a jacket from Radioland Murders. Do you see this cup? Do you see this?
Yeah.
You see inside this cup? Those are ashes, right?
Right. Okay.
These are Ringo Starr's cigarette ashes from when he hosted Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
and he's sitting in my office, and he said, "I don't want to do any Beatles stuff." And I go, "Really? Really? I've got these great ideas where we do an homage to A Hard Day's Night, where you get lost and stuff like that." And he goes, "No, I don't want to do anything. Got any other ideas?" And he got an ashtray, and I go, "Well, no, but I have this coffee cup." And he put his ashes in there, and I put plastic over the top, and I've had these for 35 years.
Wow. Wow.
But I can't verify it except for the story. I mean, who's to prove? There's no DNA involved here.
I think the verification is that no one would, if you were going to pretend, you would make it more impressive. You know what I mean? There's things you could fake. There's something about There's something about just a little bit of plastic wrap over a cup with just a little bit of cigarette ash that feels it's the right level. If you were faking it, you've done it so smartly because it seems like no one would fake that.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. And you can tie in the fact that I was on SNL when Ringo did the show. So, okay.
You've kept the receipts. You've kept the receipts.
I kept the receipt. Right. So that's what this is. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's great. That's better than Gork Pages. I'll concede that.
It is better than Gork Pages. Yeah.
Because Gork Pages you can verify, but even I would admit you will get more of a reaction if you show off Ringo's cigarette ashes than most keepsakes from most movies.
If I were to put this on eBay as opposed to Gork Pages, I might, I'd have to sign it or something,
Sort of certificate of authenticity.
Yeah. I might be able to put my kid through college with that.
Don't send it to Ringo to sign though. He's not.
He will not. I have a Ringo autograph because back then he would sign autographs. So I have To Gary with love, love from Ringo.
Gary, that's all you need.
All you.
Yeah, I think that seals the deal right there.
Yeah.
No peace, just love.
Yep.
To wrap up, are there any lasting Radioland Murders memories you want to, or thoughts, or anything that you want to impart to the world?
Scott, you got the most memories.
I mean, even when I'm sorry, the wonderful video you just posted, she played Morgana. What was her name again?
Leanne.
Yep.
When she brought up Harvey Korman, because in the back of my, this is I do still have my Radioland script. In the back of the binder was this picture of just me and Harvey Korman, and I'm with Leanne. I mean, I grew up every day after school. I would watch Carol Burnett show. Tim Conway and Vicki Lawrence, Carol Burnett and Harvey Korman. But on the very last page of my binder, somebody printed it out. And it was a picture of us being very kind of stoic, sitting next to each other, and then he actually was laughing in one of the pictures.
Yeah.
But I do know. God, I felt horrible too. Because Harvey was obviously, he was older. He was older than me. I was 22, we figured out at the time. But there was a scene in the writer's room when they were all screaming at me, and somehow he's passed out on the table, drinking out of his flask. And I don't know what I was doing on the table, but I was jumping over him or something, and I don't know if I kneed him or stepped in his... below the belt somewhere.
Right.
I felt like total shit. Like you're just, stepping on this, all intents and purposes, this legend. And he, I could tell he wasn't too happy with me, but he kind of let it just roll off his back. So I thought that was kind of nice.
Honestly, that's the best you could ask for in that. You can't expect him to be. You can't expect him to be too happy for you when you've done that.
No. And I was basically all over the place. But there was a lot of it goes back to what we've talked about at the very onset of getting online tonight. It's like those people. Watto, you were talking about it. George, you were talking about it.
Yeah.
The list just keeps on going. You forget about it. Like Dylan Baker, his work, or I think Michael Lerner had just done Barton Fink with the Coen brothers right around then.
Yeah.
So
Peter McNichol, Oscar Goldthwait. Yeah. There's just like everywhere you turn in that movie. Yeah, there's a new surprise.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. This has been super fun.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Thanks for having me. It's great seeing you again, Gary.
Hey, great seeing you. Seriously, I'm a big fan of yours, and I have been ever since. I wish we could have become friends.
If I would have known we were doing this, I would have broken out my mop and stuck it on for hair.
I would have taken off my clothes, put on some fur. Brought a club. But it's good to see you. Scott, you look great. You all look great, and I enjoy the show. And I watched all the past episodes. It's you guys. You're out there. You're out there.
We'll take it.
You're out there. Yeah, and that's a good place to be.
Thank you.
It was awesome, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Everybody, bye-bye.
Bye, Gary. Bye, Scott. Well,
what a fun night.
What a
What do you
fun
think?
night.
What a
I said,
fun
what
night.
a fun night. George, we
What
do
a fun night.
we
do
do
have
have to
what?
we have to switch our StreamYard again.
All right, I'll switch to a new stream.
I'm putting it.
Should I wait? Should I wait? Is that the best way for it to work? How's it work?
No, I just put it in the private chat. So we'll just stop this and then we'll pop over in 1 second.
But what to switch it for, Patrick? We finished watching Radioland Murders. What more could be lying ahead of us?
Hey, Watto. Well, I hope there's more. I hope there's more. We might not be done with